Hello, everyone. Good morning. Scotty White of World Combat Sports. Hopefully, everybody is doing just great on this Monday. Good morning, Scotty White of World Combat Sports. Let me finish setting up this screen share right quick. It was a long night. I was doing a live to close to what, 2:45, 3 o'clock in the morning. So I've been able to get some interesting feedback from people dropping stuff, in my inbox. And also I had a good friend that's basically in the camp of Wilder. Had a conversation, a dialogue, and another individual with the trainer, Ben Davison, of Tyson Fury. A lot of you are thinking like, okay, he's not the trainer of Tyson Fury anymore. He's still in the camp, for real. He still has an intricate part in the camp. So what I did was I screenshot some of the dialogue that they was talking about as far as this particular new media talking to Ben Davison. And what the conversation was about, we're going to talk about. It's basically holding him accountable of what's obviously going on here in the ring and what he said. I don't have the exact video to pretty much reference some of the talking points that they had, but if you follow boxing enough, you can understand what video he's referring to and so forth. Just give me a minute while I pull up this. What's going on, Ronald Finkley? Salute to you, bro. So I want to definitely go over a portion of the screen share video with Teddy Atlas when he was speaking to Joe Rogan. The reason why I want to go through that, because he's basically explaining what a lot of us know already. We have the insight, we have the knowledge about what's going on in the sport of boxing. A lot of people don't want to talk about it, but it is indeed a fact when it comes to the sport. It's been associated with and attached with corruption for years and years ago. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of people that you have to use the capital C word when it comes to this particular incident, because all they want to do is keep talking about the win-loss, win-loss. We passed all that. Now we're talking about the cheater, and how long he's been cheating. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're talking about right now. So, I wanted to go over this video just a tad bit before I get into the Ben Davison thread of the dialogue that was that happened not too long ago. But if you look at this video with Teddy Atlas with Joe Rogan, he's going to cover some insightful points that a lot of people need to know. And you can't just say it's Teddy Atlas, it don't mean anything. It means a whole hell of a lot, especially the ones that's actually been a boxer, cover the sport of boxing. I'm talking about going into the cards, because it's a lot of cats don't even cover cards. They just standing out here on the back door. I don't want to, go in this morning, really, but a lot of you all, I believe, is out here making a joke, just mongering around new media, having members go around on other platforms just to get your name out there. I'm real close to calling you to the carpet and say, let's do it. Let's go. Shut down everything else. Come on the platform and let's talk. Stop all the clowning ass shit that's going on. So listen to this video right quick with Teddy Atlas speaking to Joe Rogan about what? Corruption in boxing, y'all.
It's a good way, but you have a dictator running, UFC. No, but it's okay to have a dictator sometimes, because at least you have rules that are adhered to. Right. At least you have structure.
Yeah.
And as long as they're not, taking people out and
I know what you're saying.
them.
I know what you're saying.
And so boxing has no real accountability, no structure across the board, no real, lateral structure and conformity, nothing unilateral, because you have different states that have different commissions, and they're supposed to be tied together, but they all act differently. And there's no national commission, there's no body, there's no dictator, there's no czar, there's no NBA commissioner, there's no NFL commissioner, there's no MLB commissioner that overlooks and polices the whole sport. And there's no separation of church and state, so to speak, where the people making the money in the sport are separated, truly separated from the people supposedly administrating this. There's no separation. Promoters actually that are making the money and have obviously a horse that's running in the game, so to speak, that night, that they want that fighter to win, they pay the judges. And there's no buffer, there's no separation where.
Now listen what he just said. He's talking about people being paid and everything else. It gets a whole lot interesting as you move on forward in this particular media. I've seen this video before, but Teddy Atlas of all people has been around the sport long as he has. He's not creating or making this stuff up. It's a lot that goes on internally to the sport. That if you're covering the sport on deck, sometimes you may see it, sometimes you may not. But on the level for which Teddy Atlas has been a part of, I know he's not just fabricating these things. Some of the things Teddy Atlas say is outlandish. I get it, people. Believe me, I get it. But in speaking about the encompassing layer and what he's talking about that goes on internal to the sport, I don't believe he's just fabricating all this for what? And then, Joe Rogan, man, I just wish, he would kind of just let it, be a better co-analyst, so to speak, and letting this man get it out.
You can have promoters and managers that can actually go to the commission and say, we don't want these judges to judge. They can't say, put this judge in, but they can knock judges out. And the commissions will listen to them. The alphabet organizations, they're corrupt. They are. I mean, it's not Teddy Atlas saying it.
It's everybody saying that. There's very few people who are going to say they're not corrupt.
Well, they're corrupt. I mean, if you're going to be honest about it, and you don't have an agenda where you're afraid to say it because you have an agenda, which a lot of people do in my business. They have an agenda, so they're not going to say it because they're part of it. If they're not part of it, they're friendly with people that are part of it, and they want to have access. They want to have relationships, so they stay away from it. And they understand how the corruption works, so they understand. Is it a smoky room with cigars like the old days where Frankie Carbo was running things and you put an envelope? No, it's not that. But you might be paying $30,000 for an ad, and at a convention for the WBA or the WBC or the WIBF or WBO or whatever the heck they are, and you might be paying $30,000 for an ad. You know why you paid the $30,000 for that. I don't think that you just like to see your name in the ad in the brochure. There was a purpose behind paying that ad, and so there's no. Again, you have the administrators of the sport, the commissions, and then you have the alphabet organizations that get paid a sanctioning fee from the champion. So they want that champion to win. And so they get the sanctioning fee. And especially if he's a popular champion. So now you have nobody saying, well, the manager can't talk to the sanction organization. Promoter can't. Of course they can talk to them and say, I want my guys rated high. Of course they have access.
What was that again? Talking to the sanctioning people? You want your fighter rated high? What was that? That exists in boxing? Because if it does, for the ones that keep on, just dropping these comments, acting and pretending like the commission is there and they're the saving grace to stopping anything that happened with Tyson Fury's glove. Man, come on, man. We seen what happened. Stop just saying the commission was there. The commission was there. Listen, I've been to fight cards where that was the case. I've been there. And I'm not going to elaborate any further than that because you know what? I'm still covering cards. You know what I'm saying? I'm still covering cards. But what I'm trying to get across is you have someone else that's on a higher platform such as Teddy, and he's basically talking about how the manipulation process is rooted and how does it branch out and affect in the sport of boxing. The favoritism.
So they have access to talking to somebody, influencing somebody, to move their guy up in the ratings. These are honest ratings. And they have access to telling an organization, well, I'd like to push a mandatory. I'd like to push my guy to get the mandatory, which means, of course, that he's going to fight him within a certain period of time. He's going to fight the champion.
Which that's missing in MMA.
Yeah.
That's absolutely missing in MMA.
So you have all that stuff going on. And where is the
oversight?
Yeah, where's the oversight? Where's the policing? Where's the line where because again, people making money, people running the sport, people making money, people administrating the sport, it's not supposed to blur. There's supposed to be a separation. Now, if you know where to go in Europe, America, United States too, but all through Europe, where there's a lot of big fights, there was just a big fight.
Now, what he's about to say next is very enlightening, especially to the boxing fans who cover the sport and passing by. They're passerby and covering the sport. What he's about to say, listen, this is absolutely has merit to it. Like I said, I'm still covering cards, man. But it happens. If you see certain people, if you get the scoop on where certain people is going to be, you will see all of them at that particular location. Now, what else goes on inside of that? It's not something I choose to talk about or whatever, because I'm not there. But the visual, seeing it, absolutely. It's absolutely true. I'm not bullshitting you by no means. It's absolutely true about what he's about to say about the location.
In London, he drew 90,000 people, which is good for the sport, and it's incredible. But if you know where restaurant to go to the night before big fight, you will walk in the restaurant. I've been there. You will walk in the restaurant. I'm not going to say something if I can't stand behind it. And you will see at the restaurant, it's a big table, kind of like not the Last Supper, but it's a big table. And you will see all the officials at that table that are going to work the fight the next night. And you will see the organizational heads, the heads of that sanctioning body and the guys that are in charge, the presidents, vice presidents, supervisors, judges, referees. And guess who the host of the dinner is? The promoter. Something wrong with that. I mean, there's something greatly wrong with that. Right. So the host of the dinner, it's a big bill, obviously. I mean, it's a lot of people. It's a good restaurant. They're eating all the best stuff, drinking the best wines and everything else. So it's a big bill.
So the host of the dinner is the promoter. The host of the dinner is the promoter. The promoter is the host of the dinner. So what does that say? The promoter is picking up the bill with all the officials there. He's the host of the dinner. So basically there's an agenda, so to speak. There's intent. Not so many words, promoters just say, I'm just taking them out to dinner so we can discuss whatever, you know what I'm saying? Of course, this is not something that's made public. It's not privy to the media. And come over here, we're going to be eating. But dinners like this take place, man.
And it's being picked up by the promoter who wants a specific fighter to win that night.
Right.
And he's got access to all the judges, all the officials, all the organizational heads. Now, so I would say to the people that are listening out there that just to make the analogy that really I think would hit home, the New York Yankees, they're obviously a universally known name and brand, organization, maybe the biggest of all time. So how about in New York, you go to the best restaurant, and the night before a World Series game, you walked into the restaurant and you saw all the umpiring crew, all the officials that are in charge of the umpiring for the World Series game, sitting at a dinner, hosted by the Steinbrenners. Problem.
Yeah.
Giant problem.
Yeah.
And it can't happen because there's a commission would never let that happen because the integrity, the credibility of the sport would be down the tubes in one moment before you can finish your shrimp cocktail. But so it can't happen. It happens,
goes unchecked in boxing.
but it happens all the time in boxing. And just the look of impropriety is wrong.
The look of
It should
impropriety.
be wrong. It should be wrong in baseball. It should be wrong in football. It should be wrong in NBA. But it should be even more wrong in a sport where you risk so much.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it's a very, very good point. And I don't know how you would ever fix that. I mean, how would you have some universal oversight of the entire sport? And how would you get everybody from the WBO, WBC,
Nobody cares
WBA?
enough.
They wouldn't.
No, they don't care enough because the president of the United States started caring when there was a problem with baseball. He got involved.
That was about steroids, though, right?
Yeah, but it was a problem.
But wasn't that a horseshit problem? I mean,
Now, this is the part where I'll just, appreciate if Joe Rogan just allow him to elaborate continuously and fluently to his next point. But what he said about, the way boxing allows the promoter to meet with the officials and everything, pretty much to influence. Of course, if you're not privy to the dinner, you're not attending the dinner. A lot of people are going to say, well, you don't know if that's entirely true. Me, myself, knows that dinners take place. For a fact, on the regional level, dinners take place, but I don't know what the conversation is. I can't speak on it, but I know it's been times where I've seen individuals in areas and they was communicating. I don't know what they was talking about, but I'm just saying it looks like a conflict of interest. That's real talk. Y'all know how much I get out here on the boxing cards and freaking cover the cards. Within that recon and covering the card, you see things. You have to go back to your hotel. You have to eat. You going with people and you seeing different things. It is times where you walk out. It's almost like being in an operation. You walk out into a clearing. That clearing is there. You're like, man, why is this clearing here? You know what I'm saying? That'd be a good place to set up camp, right in this clearing. But see, when you walk up on this particular clearing, when they're having a dinner, it's certain things that stand out, like familiar faces. And you're like, look around, it's like, damn, what are they eating? Why are they eating with them and all this other people? What is going on? But you just mind your business and you go order your food and you do what you have to do. But yesterday and all before that, speaking about this Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, there's been a lot of clowns, so to speak, a lot of freaking big noses, big shoes running around on social media talking about the loss. We're really not giving a fuck about the loss. Now it's all about the accountability. That's all. We're talking about accountability. If boxing is a hurt business, then let it be a hurt business all the way around the clock. Not just like it's the stock market and we're going to put a pause in trading. You can't put a pause on time. You know what I'm saying? You can't put a pause on a time, especially after the incident has already happened. Now, it would have been great to put a pause on time when it was actually occurring in the ring, but nothing happened. So now we're going to continue to roll the minutes and the hour hand, and we're going to continue to clock in and talk about this cheating Tyson Fury that we know for a fact that's pretty much all the evidence out there. And a part of that is going to be this next part of the next aspect of the video that goes on in boxing. This is not freaking Al Sharpton saying this shit. This is not Jesse Jackson. This is not Dr. King. This is Teddy Atlas, man.
It was a real problem, but it was more of a problem of they wanted to clean up the image because it's America's sport. And they had these people.
They're worried about where the fans were going to leave the game a little bit.
Right.
So it was a problem. It was a problem. It was impacting them. It was impacting. Listen, it was impacting the perception of the game, which impacted the gates,
right?
What they're going to make, and ultimately the fan base, which of course impacts them financially. It impacts the country because if less people care about the sport, you're going to see it less. And if you care about it, you're going to be one of the people that are left out. So it was a problem. And they can't. I'm going to be careful saying this, but not that careful. But because you have to say it, I don't think that they care as much about the people in boxing.
I don't think they do either. It's more of a.
You see, once again, Joe Rogan cutting the man off, trying to insert his oxygen when it's not needed. Just sit back and listen to what Teddy Atlas is saying. I respect hell out of Joe Rogan, man. Salute to him. Real talk. But you talking about OG in the boxing game, man. Just let Teddy Atlas finish what he's saying, because Teddy Atlas is saying he don't think they care about boxing, and he's leading to a different point than what I believe Joe Rogan even could fathom right now. I don't think he's speaking. His mind is basically saying, you know what, it's calibrating what is about to be said from Teddy Atlas. I don't think he was even on the same wavelength, man.
Dangerous, dirty sport in their eyes.
Yeah. And the people that come into it and everything else, I'm not going to get into all the other stuff that you could get into that, is so popular to get into in some ways nowadays.
You mean like racism?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not going to get into that because I don't want to, and I don't have, definitive things to show for that. I just know how
the perception of the sport. The perception of
yeah.
sports, it's not cherished the way baseball's cherished. When there's a big fight like Canelo and Triple G, people get excited and a lot of people will buy it, but it's not necessarily thought of as something that represents America. And particularly in Canelo, Triple G, you're talking about two people that aren't American to begin with.
Yes. All of that stuff is legitimate.
So basically, Teddy Atlas had mentioned that there was racism in boxing, and pretty much, it's really no care. It's not that much of a care of the world. Let me go back in here for a second.
It's a problem. One of the people that are left out. So it was a problem, and they can't. I'm going to be the country, because if less people care about the sport, you're going to see it less. And if you care about it, you're going to be one of the people that are left out. So it was a problem, and they can't. I'm going to be careful saying this, but not that careful. But because you have to say it, I don't think that they care as much about the people in boxing.
I don't think they do either. It's more of a dangerous, dirty sport in their eyes.
Yeah. And the people that come into it and everything else, I'm not going to get into all the other stuff that you could get into that, is so popular to get into in some ways nowadays.
You mean like racism?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not going to get into that because.
So what Teddy Atlas is basic caveat to it does exist in the sport of boxing. You'll be a fool not to think it doesn't exist. It's just one of those, echoes that people refuse to acknowledge. You know what I'm saying? They just want to pass on by and be done with it. But if it's by chance black media, when I say black media, I'm talking about the person that's behind, that's running the media outlet, not so much the content being pushed out all the time. I don't look at it like that. I'm talking about black media in general. If black media is up here advocating for a fighter such as Deontay Wilder, it can be anybody. But just so happen the heavyweight division is ruling the headlines right now, every other day, about this cheating incident. We're not talking about the uniform. We're not talking about anything else except, the previous slides and evidence that's out here floating around in the cloud. That's what's most important. And also all the other material that is now being talked about on the new media, such as Mr. Carefoot, saying he was paid 25,000 pounds to basically perjure himself, to cover up for Tyson Fury, then popping positive. You know what I'm saying? The man said he never killed a wild boar in his life, but they wanted him to lie and say he served uncastrated freaking wild boar. So that's a serious problem, right? So let's move on and get to this thread that I was talking about earlier. And, I'm going to say allegedly, but I just want you all to see certain things. Let me remove this from the stream. And I really want to get into I believe this is if you look on there, you can actually see, and I'm speaking in short form because this is a personal conversation between a particular media member and Ben Davison, right? Allegedly. I have to put allegedly out there. So I'm going to read from my phone so I can see it better than it being on the screen. So the point that you see first is basically, talking about the video. Everything is video orientated, right? The organization structure of evidence in its presentation is video content. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be PowerPoint, whether it be freaking Adobe Premiere, anything you want to freaking make up. This right here, the blue is the new media. The dark colored gray is allegedly, that of Ben Davison. Okay, check the box. What you see is, so explain this cause. We got you, player. That's new media. Okay, in response, Davison says, man, you are crazy. In boxing terms, that means keep him at the end of the jab. Now, if anybody who basically follow the sport of boxing, and you have did your research, unlike last night where I had a bunch of kids who was out of school for the COVID-19 and they choose to come and play around on my, on the playground, and found out there's a lot of adults already on this bitch. So this is basically talking about the video that was out there, and Ben Davison is telling Tyson Fury to use the left hand. Just take a look at the video. I haven't pulled that video up, but if I find it, I'll show you what I'm talking about. It said, man, you crazy. In boxing terms, that means keep him at the end of the jab. Don't get greedy in exchanging right hands with Wilder. You'll beat him out jabbing him and out boxing him. That's what Davison was trying to explain what he meant from the video itself. So you go to the next, I give it time to pop up. And it says, Ben, don't play with me. I'm far from stupid, and you are too. Cut the shit. You saying jab and outboxing, but Ricky was saying completely different. Ricky, as in Ricky Hatton, was saying completely different, asking him what he was doing. Oh, trust me, I was there. You don't jab with the puncher. Fury created space in the glove to keep that reach longer. Smart, but you guys didn't think you would get caught. It all makes sense why D said it felt. D as Deontay. The pillows. D said it felt like pillows while Fury threw jabs. D said it felt like pillows while Fury was throwing jabs. He's basically saying it felt like pillows while Fury was throwing jabs. You can't have it both ways. Your hand can't be at the end of the glove and the wrist, and then you popping jabs and it feels like bricks. You got to be either or, either left or right. Front to back. Front side of the glove is going to be soft because your hand is not actually inserted fully in there. If it's in the wrist area, then you have to manipulate the form on how you're going to deliver the punch, which if his knuckles is in the wrist area and he was landing those palm to face punches, we can see. So it said D said it felt like pillows while Fury threw jabs because his freaking knuckles was there. So it shows a picture, of course, if you look on the screenshot of the video also where Davison was back there warming up Tyson Fury. And it looked like the gloves was just fine, like he was popping the jab. It wasn't no wavering and flickering of the glove. It wasn't any of that. You know what I'm saying? At that particular time, he was warming Fury up in that moment. Understand, there's two videos. of the first fight and the second fight. The way Fury jab looks and warming up is very important, whether it was in the first fight or the second fight, because it goes to show you that if the glove looked like that in the fight, if it was wavering back and forth, if it seemed pliable, then it didn't look like that at the video that you see right here at the end. If you watch this video, his glove didn't look the same way. It didn't look like it was wavering in the wind. It looked solid, like his hand was in the glove. You warming up the right way. Okay, this next one is the actual video where new media is basically putting it out there saying, okay, take a look at this video right here. Why does it look much different than the way Tyson Fury is punching in the ring? Why is his glove flapping back and forth? Why is there not basically conformity? I mean, less conformity in this area right here, the video, than it did in the ring. I mean, when he's warming Tyson Fury up on the mitts, it looks solid. And you can see the new media, you can check that out for yourself at the bottom. But he said his gloves wasn't flapping here. Explain that, Ben. This is moments after Jay left your locker room. This is moments, for those of you who cover boxing a little bit closely, this is moment after Jay. So, of course, the conversation has been, especially, people darting in and out of World Combat Sports. We have people over here talking about the commission. Well, commission is there present, but when he speaks of Jay would be the trainer of Deontay Wilder. And he was in there, of course, looking at the hands being wrapped and everything. So they say, Jay left your locker room. Trust me, I know. So going on to the next one, and this is a dialogue. This is a dialogue between new media and Ben Davison, allegedly. It said Wilder would have walked through it, and I'm picking up on the conversation. If you ever put a 10-ounce boxing glove on, you should know how it would fit a fist in the wrist. Most fighters struggle putting their hand. This is from Ben Davison, right? Most fighters struggle putting their hand in a 10-ounce glove as it is. It said, let alone somebody Tyson size with the wrap. Wouldn't fit in the wrist part, let alone the advantage that would give, the advantage it would give. Ridiculous. Don't jab with the puncher. How many fighters over time have outboxed punchers? Just sit and think what you're saying. What you mean glove makers would be involved, would mean referees would have to be involved. He's inserting all these hypotheticals, but sometimes people, the more they talk, the more they just give you information. You know what I'm saying? He's saying, would it mean glove makers would have been involved? Would it mean referees would have been involved? Commissioners, Wilder's trainer, for what advantage? There are pictures of Tyson delivering the same shots in the same flickering way from Klitschko and Wilder too. So that would mean German ref officials, Klitschko, brother, he's just basically including a lot of other people. Which you look at the Klitschko fight, he wasn't throwing the jab like that. Like his gloves wasn't flickering in that fight in 2015. It wasn't. Let me go on to the next one. He said, hold on for a second. So in gray, once again, and in blue, new media says, explain this. He's basically referencing the video. So he's saying, explain this. And then Davison replies, commission was there to watch. Once again, The commission was there to watch, tie and tape them himself in front of Wilder, pull down his glove. Wow. So this is coming from the point where the video shows that Ricky Hatton is pulling down the glove of Tyson Fury, pulling it off. I mean, just pulling down the glove. But Davison is basically saying that Ricky Hatton was moving his hand from the top rope. So what new media says, just keep digging a bigger hole and don't even know it. Your best bet was to keep quiet. I've stood next to you and heard you talk about boxing before, and you don't even know it. You're smart. So new media goes on to say this. Let me wait till it come up. He says gloves wasn't flapping here. Explain that, Ben. Once again, we're comparing the gloves flapping to when they wasn't flapping. When it's basic compliant to boxing, the glove's supposed to be solid when you're fighting. It's not a reoccurring video where you can go out here and you can watch boxing matches and see fighters' gloves just flickering in the wind. I'm talking about new era. We're going to stick with the new era. We just don't see that type of equipment. We don't see that type of disformity that's going on with fighters being able to throw a jab and freaking a glove just flickering all over the place. It doesn't have to do with slowing it down. You can see it in real time. That doesn't happen when you have a full hand inside the glove. So he said his gloves wasn't flapping here, referring to a video. Explain that, Ben. This is moments after Jay left the locker room, which I said earlier. Most coaches tell the fighters to stay close or close to them. Let's make sense, Ben. Don't talk stupid because you're smart, but this is all effed up. And this just goes to show you how new media is basically marching in their boots, you know, keeping on the in the presence of what's going on with this situation with Tyson Fury, because we should keep it up. It don't have to be all day, every day, but it should be talked about. Next, new media says, Davison say, not to hide, pal, because I read the last one previously. Nothing to hide, pal, in front of commissions and opposing team trainers. And then new media say, what you won't do is manipulate me because I know. Davison said, thanks, but no cheat, that's for sure. And then new media say, you still ain't explained the flapping nor the glove being pulled. You haven't explained nothing. So it goes on. I think I have the next one. It goes on to say, let me pull it up. I'm gonna read from my phone to get to this one. Like I said, Ben, this from new media. It said, like I said, Ben, it's best for you to keep quiet. And Ben say he didn't pull his glove down. He took Tyson's hand off the top rope. Nothing to hide. New media say, oh, that's bullshit. I'll show you from a different angle. Don't make me cause it's there. So this is what's actually on the screen and Ben's response. He say, okay, if you say if you say I don't need to prove anything, it's common sense. What seems more legit, 40 men in on a glove conspiracy, 40 men in on a glove conspiracy or pulling someone's hand off the top rope. Come on. It's literally ridiculous. And then new media says it's common sense to see what exactly the world is seeing. And that's a good point from new media. Shout out to him saying it's common sense to see what exactly the world is seeing. And a lot of what the world is seeing, you still have people that's willing to just negate the fact that it's actually going on. We have video footage That makes all the sense in the world. That basically it's common sense to see exactly what the world is seeing. Referee Eddie Cotton thinks Fury is a dirty fighter as well. Eddie Cotton being Eddie Hearns. Not sure why he called him that, but that's not me. I'm in quoting. Common sense here, Ben. Common sense. So it's a portion on here where they was talking about Cunningham and so forth. Let me see what the last slide is about. I'm gonna pull it up right quick. So if you go down past what I just read, and Davison say over with the fight with Cunningham using his size, not glove conspiracies. Stop reaching. Then they say ain't no searching, it's there. That's from New Media. Davison say I said reaching as in you trying to go off the point. And then New Media responds reaching either all in front of the world. No reaching. My eyes don't play. I mean, that's pretty much a consistent thread that's been going on. And once again, you know, I was just going through some dialogue or whatever from individuals who are reaching out and getting the attention of those team members that's attached to Tyson Fury. Now, if you look on the chat, you know, we do have an individual that was in here. And, you know, it's all good. Thanks for coming back to the channel, saying the same thing. You know what I'm saying? But once again, when it comes down to what you didn't learn yesterday, you should have learned yesterday. So if you continue to create accounts and come over here, it's not going to do anything. Seriously. This particular person that you're seeing here was over here last night giving me all love, giving World Combat Sports all the love. You know, and he don't know nothing about boxing. He's just coming here putting quotes up in here. But let me get back to you. Chris Ray say, blessings, I'm out. Michael Lewis say, you really don't think there's something fishy here? But see, live chat, you need to understand one thing, live chat. This guy, I invited him on the live, and he absolutely knows zero about boxing. I just asked him a simple question of how many freaking divisions it was in boxing, and he didn't know that. And then he gets blocked, create another account, and comes back to show love. You know what I'm saying? That's all he's here for. You can see he's good to press enter. Now, one thing I know about this particular dude, right? I believe I know who he is. He just went out here and created another account. And the only reason I'm saying this is because of his mannerisms. He's very impulsive. And you have guys that can create other accounts to come back. But I'm just gonna mention some of his comments. Sometimes you have to let people communicate with the foot in their mouth. I believe his gloves wasn't on right, and they supposed to resolve the situation prior to the fight. And that just goes to show how rudimentary your sense of thinking is when you're talking about resolve a situation. How was there a situation if they really didn't identify a situation? This is a point of reference internal to the fight that was going on and after the fight. So once again, there you go, showing your true colors that you don't know the basics as to basically provide analytics in your research for the boxing game. You're saying they supposed to resolve the situation prior to the fight. Man, come on, bro. Hadn't put his hand there, no 1 second, no way he could have pulled that glove. Well, you know, the video shows different. Lewis say, I have said many times that Wilder Camp did not do their due diligence and caught this BS. However, this don't excuse Fury's cheating. Now, let me take this down. What I would say in that perspective, Lewis, is that Deontay Wilder was there to attempt, and his whole intent was to retain his WBC title. That's what he was in the ring for. Now, there was a lot more collateral action that he had to endure. There's a lot more situations where in the heat of combat, you sometimes find yourself not fighting by the rules. You have to do by all means necessary. All means necessary is trying to come back not only your opponent, but the tactics for which your opponent is distributing or delegating out to you. It's combat. And Tyson Fury, though he was fighting dirty, Deontay Wilder barely even freaking complained during the fight. When you saw him get knocked down in the third round, he turned around to the ref and be like, hey, was that on the back of the head? You know what I'm saying? What's going on with that? The look on his face is like, ref, what's going on here? But I truly get what you said about due diligence, man. It's tough to talk about something that's going on in such a big fight on why or if Wilder's team didn't see that. But what did happen, they ended up stopping the fight. All this evidence you're talking about, that's nonsense. You got to come better with that if you're going to be a part of the live chat. You got to come up with more productive content. You can't just come over here retreading on what you did yesterday for attention. It's not going to happen. I'm giving you time to be a better person, man. Obviously, you don't know a damn thing about boxing. You just want to come over here and talk. So I'm giving you time to educate yourself and go out here and basically look it up. Neither Scott or myself is making excuses for why we are saying that they're building evidence that Fury cheated. Fury did cheat, absolutely. And this guy coming out about uncastrated wild boar and saying that's what they influenced him to say, and being that he's been in that environment raising certain animals, and if he said he never killed and he's never had a wild boar, also he has paperwork, it's a reason why since 2015 he's finally coming out and saying something about it. What does he have to gain? And it was something said that Frank Warren, I believe, received a letter from this guy October 20 what? No, I believe, yeah. He received a letter from this guy October of, what was it, 2018, I believe. And he was trying to say all the guy wanted was money. Well, that would be true if he wanted money, if he was owed money. You know what I'm saying? That would be true. But then they want to, first and foremost, take away the man's character, fragment his character, allow the public to believe that the man has zero character, and then call him a liar on top of that. So he don't have any character, he don't have any integrity. That's the whole point. It said, Michael said reverse roles and how would you act? This is about integrity of the sport. Lewis say you're dancing like MC Hammer. I'm gonna try to pull up this other article that I wanted you all to see. I'm skipping over Kevin's comment. He don't even know how many damn divisions in boxing. Lewis said, I agree, Wilder, a warrior, that was a moment, but that was your team is for. Kevin is not being logical about the situation. He wasn't logical last night. He wasn't logical today. But really, it's not something I'm going to continue to take too much time on, because if you get a person that's just looking for that type of energy, maybe he needs a hug from somebody, you know what I'm saying, outside of this boxing chat. Because when I provided him the opportunity, basically he didn't want to show his face. And what he's doing right now, I believe he's attached to another platform. Or it could be somebody's kid that didn't get permission from mommy to be on social media anyway. Lewis said it would be kind of different if Fury didn't have a history of cheating. That's absolutely fact, man. We're basically comparing him to what he's already been a part of in boxing and what's currently coming out recently. And if he fought Deontay Wilder December 2018, come on, man. That's pretty recent, right? That's pretty recent. If you fought Deontay Wilder December 2018, it hasn't been that long to basically take footage from that fight and then take footage for February 22nd and combine them together. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to know your facts, man, because listen, if someone told you it was a strawweight division in boxing, I'm glad they told you that. You have to understand my mentality. I'm not going to sit up here and continue to feed you when you're not trying to feed yourself. In the sport of boxing, if you're going to be media and you want to participate on these media outlets, you need to understand that just because someone is not going to feed you, you're an adult in perspective, I'm assuming. So if you're coming on my platform and I ask you something about how many divisions in boxing, and then someone says, okay, they're strawweight. Listen, I've been around the sport long enough to know, but since you was being a fool, I allow you to digest something like that because I want you to go do your research. Now, coming full circle, I'm glad you came back and said it wasn't. That means you're being better. You're being better now. You're going out and finding your research. You had to go out and find out if it was a strawweight. The time that you invested in finding that out, you need to go out here and find other situations that you're trying to debate. You don't come over here and just say, well, the sky ain't blue. It looked blue to me. It's not blue. It looks blue to me. I'm telling you, it's not blue. That's not a debate I'm choosing to have because it's pointless to boxing. So I'm glad you went out here and did your research and found out that strawweight is in the women's division of MMA. I'm glad you ran. I'm not going to correct. I wasn't going to correct it last night. You know why? Because you deserve to go out here and do your homework. You deserve that. And you did your homework. Good job. Good job, man. I'm going to give you a snack. I'm going to send you a snack later. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to send you some freaking Tootsie Rolls or something. You know what I'm saying? You probably don't eat Tootsie Rolls, though. Yeah, Uriah said he was right. You know why? Because like I just told you, I think I'm talking to an underage individual right now because you're just not getting what I'm saying. As an adult, I force you to go do your own research. Why are you sticking to one thing? I invited you on the platform and you didn't know nothing about boxing. So a guy said strawweight. I say, okay, cool. Let him run with that. It's to get you to go out here and do your homework, homeboy. Do you know how easy it is to understand what is the lightest weight class in boxing? Anybody who follows the sport of boxing, man, knows that 105 is the lightest weight class in boxing. Everybody knows when it comes to the sport of boxing, your lowest and your highest. It's easy work, but you need to do your homework, my friend. That's why I sent you out and to get that food so you can eat on your own. I'm not going to feed a grown ass man. Go out here and eat on your own, man. Do your own research. Be better. So when you come on this platform, you can be much more appreciated. Right now, you're looking like a fool, man. Because what's coming out is just perspective. You can sit behind the screen and laugh. But the only other time that I invited you on last night, you just want to stay behind the black screen because you're not who you say you are. I think I truly believe I know who you are anyway. Why am I even giving you this time anyway, man? You don't know nothing about boxing, bro. Your mannerisms is exactly who I think you are. Yeah, I told you Spence was a heavyweight. Yeah, anybody who followed my platform and heard my lives before know that being facetious to a knucklehead like yourself is exactly right. Spence, you said give me your top 3 heavyweights, right? I said, cool. I gave you my top 3 heavyweights. I said Errol Spence and then Shakur Stevenson. Exactly. and you really want to talk about it, and you really want to talk about it like you really proving the point. I've had countless other conversations, man. I mean, like, once again, you're just talking about something that makes no sense. Michael said, no person can impartially look at this and not see a serious problem with Fury actions and the team, his fans' subsequent attempts to cover it up. I agree, man. And the reason why I wanted to talk about those, that dialogue or what have you, is because it's very important for people to understand that just because you have team members that's associated with Tyson Fury, doesn't mean they're going to advocate against, like, they're going to be honest people. They're just going to come up here and say, well, in reality, we know from looking at the video and we know from being in his corner, this happened. We know that. It's not going to happen. They're going to protect their fighter, bro. Just like Sugar Hill did. I mean, it's an unwritten code in boxing. If you are in the corner of a fighter, you're not going to go over here and say, well, I knew about it, because that's going to place you a part of the crime. They're not going to go up here and just say, well, we knew about the glove being the way it was. He's not going to do that, bro. They're not going to, you know, especially Ben Davison being over there in the UK. He's not going to turn Tyson Fury over and criticize him and expose him for what he's a part of. That's why you have media, new media out here to bring that to the surface. And like Ben Davison said, you have 40 men out here talking about a conspiracy. It's probably much more than 40, but I'm just saying, we definitely need to keep the pressure on the trachea and kind of prohibit a little breathing, you know, the way it should be out here walking easily through the public like he did in press conferences on ESPN upon his return from the sport, talking about his mental illness. He shouldn't be allowed to walk around here freely like that and talk just talk so loosely. And people just say, oh man, it's so good. Tyson Fury's freaking mental illness. He shouldn't be allowed to do that without answering the fact of his cheating. In that case, every fighter that's been caught cheating, they can blame it on mental illness. Every fighter that's been caught cheating is saying, you know, the reason why I made that decision is mental illness. That's not the case. That's not across the board. It isn't. Michael say, now you being disrespectful. Hey man, he's a kid, man. I know exactly who his mannerisms over and over again. Yeah. Michael said, you being disrespectful. Shit, really? He said, how you figure to willfully deny the evidence is a cover-up? When people come up here and put question marks and questions, once again, you need to do your research. Just do your research, because if you're going to ask all these questions, I'm talking to a person that's already been on here that don't know too much about boxing at all. So what you do with that, if you hide them from the channel, you ban them from the channel, and then you make them do homework again, that people that's tuned in, you make them do homework and create another channel. You know what I'm saying? Create another account, and you keep on making them do homework. You put them to work. This dude's talking about, I said Errol Spence was a heavyweight. Obviously, I was just treating him like he wanted to be treated. If he wanted information that didn't really matter to the topic at hand, give it to him. So when he wanted to ask me who's my top 3 heavyweight, it was no reason for me to really answer the question. So that's why I said, you know, it was like Errol Spence and Shakur Stevenson. Anybody who covered the sport or followed my content know I was being pretty much facetious at that point. But back to boxing. I want to give a shout out to the media that's out here that's covering this situation that's going on with Tyson Fury. I want to give a salute to them, because it's time and effort put into these media podcasts. It's so much effort putting into the fact that Tyson Fury is a known cheat. If boxing is a hurt business, then therefore we need people to speak up and provide media justice. We have a platform to speak out on it. And that's what we're doing. We're collecting evidence and we're speaking out on it. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with it. Because listen, we can always do role reversal. Role reversal is if Deontay Wilder was in this same position and he was already a well-known drug cheat and he had been suspended from the sport, what do you believe what would have happened if he came back? If Deontay Wilder would have came back to the sport talking about mental illness, then all them top tier platforms would have said, well, Wilder, do you think you're healthy enough to even compete in the sport? If you had such a dark time of depression, don't you believe you might want to take up a different sport if you're not strong enough to basically know what's right from wrong in the sport? Who's to say you're not going to go do this again, then, Wilder? If you was accused of drugs and popped on the test before, then why are we to believe that you won't do the same thing again? This is boxing. People get hurt there, Wilder. You cannot in no way, shape, or form repeat what you have already done. And wow, it's strange to see you at about 300 and some pounds. We're used to seeing you pretty fit. But since you've been suspended going through this situation, you've gained over 200 some pounds. So therefore, I don't even think you're conditioned to compete in the sport ever again. Can you believe what the talk will be about? You know, on stuff like ESPN and stuff. Could you imagine if Deontay Wilder came back and he was the guy that was accused of popping positive, cocaine, all the insults and the hatred and the vilification that would go into crucifying him? It would be absolutely astronomical on what people would come up with. They would have memes out the ass, like so many memes. But Tyson Fury comes back and he's a known cheat, and there are hardly any memes on him being out of the sport on dope and taking peds and basically being dirty during the Klitschko fight. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Michael Lewis say, denying the facts, there are clear issues in the fact cover-up. As adults, we should think and act out, not emotions. He is just here to convolute the conversation. And that's all it was. Sometimes you give them, but I pretty much know there's some people, when it comes to this topic of discussion now, Michael, they're very much motivated to not talk about anybody else other than Fury. They don't want to talk about anything that's conducive to Wilder's being. They want to talk about Tyson Fury. That's all they want to do. So now it's a lot more of them, you know, popping up like groundhogs, and they want attention. But yet I'm willing to give you that attention, so to speak, if you know what the fuck you're talking about. If there's just opinionated and question-based dialogue, then guess what? If you're not going to answer any of my questions and you're asking questions that make absolutely no sense to the topic at hand, it's not even beneficial to the viewers, and it's definitely not beneficial to me. Michael said Wilder would be facing charges. Man, he would be facing a longer ban, in my opinion, in 2 years. They would be super testing this guy once he returned. All I'm saying is, in light of the evidence with Mr. Carefoot coming out about the uncastrated boar being forced with the influence to lie, and then there's countless amount of videos that's been out there. Shout out to Young Pharaoh, man. Dude is hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. Me being an older cat, right? I look at the young cats that's on the grind. I call them they're like the recon rangers, man. The shit that they can come up and put together I mean, that's just like freaking in wartime, that's like putting together cocktails. You know what I'm saying? Combat cocktails on how you're going to go about the mission and strategize on how you're going to drop your ammo. And these young media, man, they come up with some very creative freaking news media. Seriously. You know, if you know who this cat is, I know a lot of people say he hasn't been following boxing. But you don't look, it's a lot of people that never played football either, but they coach football. This dude, the way he puts together videos, I would say content wise, just go check him out because he's hungry and motivated to go out here and do all the work. So check out his content, man. I mean, he reminds me of the OG Cat Williams kind of, you know, the way he sit up here and go in on this particular situation with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. So look him up. You know what I'm saying? But what my faith in with this situation is that the more the mainstream media comes out here and talk about it, and we're looking out for the best interest and health of the fighter too. Deontay Wilder could have, well, like I said before, been in the hospital, suffering, you know, being in a coma, you know, been the next Gerald McLean, been the next Maxim Dadashev. He could have been the next Adonis Stevenson. He could have been the next Zab Judah. Why are we just overlooking the fact of the health of these fighters? Even when Zab Judah went into the hospital and they say he had bleeding on the brain, people was freaking making light of that shit. And Zab Judah, man, he was the last undisputed welterweight champion. This man is like an OG, man, of the sport of boxing. We know we like to see Zab Judah fight when he stepped in the square. He had his ups and his downs, but when the man was hurt, no one thought about his twins. No one thought about his daughter that's in the army. No one thought about or gave a damn about his family. They was just up here talking shit. He shouldn't have got back in the ring. That's how abrasive the sport of boxing can be to the fighters. And that's why you see a lot of fighters that don't give a fuck about talking to media because of stuff like that. You know, Dadashev over here fighting, provide a living for his family, right? And for them to probably get that phone call that, hey, they was watching on TV anyway. His wife is probably calling like, hey, what's going on with my husband? Is, you know, I saw what happened in the ring. Buddy McGirt was trying to plead with him to, you know, stop the fight. He didn't want to. Is he okay? And they was like, hey, he's unconscious right now. He's in a coma. He's in the hospital. We don't know his condition. We don't know anything about it. I mean, that's bad. That's bad to see. You know what I'm saying? And Deontay Wilder, you know, messing with a freaking cheat like Fury, he potentially could have taken too much damage to the head that day and been in the same situation. But what we're not seeing is people highlighting the fact of Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz getting his ass kicked. You know what I'm saying? Anthony Joshua got his ass kicked with what we know to be a pretty equal, honest assessment in the fight. Both of the fighters wore the gloves correctly, and they went in there and fought. No dirty tactics, right? Anthony Joshua got his ass whooped. We've seen him on the canvas before. We haven't seen Deontay Wilder on the canvas. So that's what made it more, you know, kind of like shocking. That's what made it a whole lot more interesting for the wrong reasons. Because Tyson Fury never been a power puncher. But since he hires a new trainer and comes up with a new tactic to press forward, all of a sudden he's able to land these punches and stop Deontay Wilder in 7 rounds, all because the towel was thrown in. I honestly believe if the fight would have kept going on, I truly believe we might have seen a changing of momentum. It's possible. It's possible, people. Because the last shot that was thrown out the corner from Deontay was a left hook, I think, right? It landed. I would have liked to see the fight go on. I just think the punishment he received from Luis Ortiz was much more damning than what he received in there with Tyson Fury. That's just me. That's just me, man. But we're gonna keep on stomping. We're gonna keep on marching forward. Talking about this incident until Tyson Fury comes up and talk about it, because Tyson Fury has not been in, forefront like he was when he returned. And when he returned to the sport, Tyson Fury was all over the freaking media. You couldn't do anything. Tyson Fury was here. You know what I'm saying? Tyson Fury was every freaking where. But after this fight, we haven't seen Tyson Fury. You know why he ain't out? Like I said the other night, because media is basically keeping his name relevant. So if by chance he comes out here and happen to be front and center in front of the lens, he's going to have some explaining to do. And it depending on who's asking him the questions. Are they going to allow themselves to have video evidence to say, Tyson Fury, in this particular case right here, how can you explain that? If they're not going to have that, then it's kind of pointless for them to have him on. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about the top tier media. Well, they're going to ask him some hard questions, and everything he's saying, well, the gloves was fine, and the commission, they are in charge of that. And a member from Deontay Wilder's team was over there also to witness. If they're going to give those default answers, it's pointless to have them on. Seriously. It's just pointless. I appreciate that info there, Michael. What I would say in that bout, though, with Wilder and Fury is that Fury game plan worked out superbly for him. He pressed the pace. He kept the momentum. He never allowed it to shift outside of what he had already established. And, you got to give a salute to the Chief. You know what I'm saying? He went in there and he had an outstanding plan for that night. Deontay Wilder didn't look as sharp, and he didn't look as aware, vigilant as he always do. Something was definitely wrong in that perspective. If he went to 12 rounds with Fury the first time and he threw more punches than Fury, then you have to take in consideration that in this particular fight, him looking disorientated, something was wrong. It just seems like he was disorientated a lot and he didn't have his wits about him. That's fact. You know what I'm saying? That's fact. He didn't look the same. Whatever it was, it wasn't no 40-pound suit. Whatever that was going on with him and he didn't look his best 100%, then guess what? Something wasn't right. He wasn't 100%. Mike says one thing to lose a fight, then to lose a fight due to cheating or fuckery, to endanger your life, well-being, to rob the fans and gamblers of a fair competition and criminal. And that's kind of what Teddy Atlas was talking about, that potentially transpires in the sport of boxing. They talk about the meetings. They talk about certain people that's attending those meetings and how certain things play out to the favorite fighter that's a part of that promotion. That's what he was talking about. I didn't mention it. He mentioned it. You know what I'm saying? So, they was talking about how that whole situation plays out. That's why you have the A and B side fighters. I know it's kind of, it's a tad bit apart from this particular situation. But when it comes to the A and B side fighters, man, it plays a big role on the preferential treatment. If you look at the A and B side fighters on the regional level, they're in totally two different locations. Like the A side fighters, they're basically their arrangements before the fight may be much more 5-star-ish, so to speak, quote unquote. 3 stars. I can't give them 5 because regional fighters don't get that love like that. All right. So it may be 3-star type deal. All right. But the B-side fighters, maybe the broom, the mop closet. You know what I'm saying? They may be in the area that's suited for, a person where you put the freaking mop bucket when the janitor finished mopping the floors and stuff. It's not the best conditions when you're going in there as the B side. And then people don't understand slot fees. They don't understand, the obligations that the A side opponent has to commit to when they're going in there for an opponent who's there to be a win. You know what I'm saying? On the regional level, how can you not understand the deceit of boxing when on a regional level, opponent can bring a fighter in, pay for them or whatever, so to speak, not pay them, pay for their opponent in some cases, and go in there and knock their opponent out, and it counts as a win on their record. It happens all the time. Boxers know it, managers know it, promoters know it, but it still goes on in boxing. So when you go up a higher level to what we're seeing right here and talk about the commissions and all that other stuff, I mean, there's certain corners of boxing that you may see certain things that you shake your head. You know what I'm saying? But it's an unwritten rule. I'm not going to talk nothing about the intricate, the internal details in that perspective, because it's just not something you want to do, and you covering the sport. You just don't want to do that. But the reason why we're able to talk about Deontay Wilder and Ben Davison is because they're quick to say the commission was there. The commission was there, right? But also the commission there was there for other fighters who have been caught cheating. The commissions was there, man. That's real. My fault, man. I didn't even see the comments over here on my Facebook. DOG 215 wrong finger is coming. I never said he was coming on the show. I didn't. My fault, everybody. Let me get back to these comments, man. Ronald Finkley. Ronald Finkley's, you're talking about the way I worded I just put it short, quick, and simple. New media conversation. New media is new media. If I would have said me, I would have said mine. I did several interviews with fighters, real talk. The way I word stuff is a person. I'm being serious. I'm communicating with people that's part of the boxing game. So I kind of take it like that, right? I don't think I'm carrying around a chalkboard, man. Like, I put new media conversation with Ben Davison. If I'm World Combat Sports, if it was me, I would have put World Combat Sports. Seriously, I would have put World Combat Sports. But that topic, that title is so short and it's simple to interpret, man. Real talk. It's just simple to people been around me enough to know. I mean, real talk, bro. That's all I'm saying. But once again, man, shout out to Ronald Finkley, man. Thanks for support of the channel. Appreciate the support. What I was trying to do, it was actually with another new media. So that's why I put new media. And the conversation and dialogue that was out was basically with the last trainer of Tyson Fury. And they was having a conversation back and forth about asking him about certain situations, dealing with the video, dealing with the Ricky Hatton situation, pulling the glove off, the glove flapping the way it did. You know what I'm saying? That was all combined in them having a dialogue. And he was basically putting them on the carpet and saying, can you provide answers? Of course, Davison is not going to provide answers because he's over there in the backyard of the UK. He still has a relationship with Fury. You know what I'm saying? So of course he's not going to be absolutely honest in his assessment. He's not going to give the response like we're looking at it. You know what I'm saying? Because he's still protecting the fighter. Us, we're looking at it like, yeah, we're trying to protect the fighter too. We're trying to get justice for Wilder in a sense that he went in there in a fight and it may not have been equal. It may not have been within the rules. And he could have seriously faced some injuries. If you're going to say it's the hurt business in one narrative, then understand what hurting consists of when it comes to individuals that's willing to manipulate how boxing is supposed to play out in the ring. That means 2 gloves on tightly with hand wraps underneath, and you go in there and box. Then it's up to Kenny Bayless at the point in time to basically control the fight. But I think Kenny Bayless kind of let the fight get out of hand a bit. And then cameras being everywhere, and people are saying that, Ricky Hatton just moved the hand from the top rope. Man, it's lunacy, man. It's just like, come on. They just do things like that just to piss people off. You can't allow them to just get you all upset and emotional. You have to just keep on putting the media out there so people can hear it, they can see it, and we keep on, trying to get that justice. That's all. Try to get that justice, man. Ronald said it's very hypocritical. 4 people died last year. If they have integrity, they will open investigation. Integrity in the sport of boxing. Woo! That's a huge word, man. Integrity. It would be great if they had integrity. Absolutely. If they had integrity to go in here and just peel back the layers, man. I mean, they have all the smart people, the tech gurus, right, to basically consolidate all this freaking footage for the commission or whoever else is going to do the investigation, and just start reviewing slide by slide, article by article. They know what the hell they're looking at. They know damn well a glove isn't supposed to come in there looking like the mitts that we wore as kids in the snow. You know what I'm saying? Them, look, you come in here looking like the gloves this day and time. And somebody said this perfectly. If you're going to compare this shit to Muhammad Ali, I don't expect the gloves that Muhammad Ali wore back then to come even remotely close to how the manufacturing process is today. That's just pointless. The clothes we wear are much more different. The trunks we fighters wear are much different. The whole aspect of boxing has changed. So we don't expect to come in here with some old freaking Muhammad Ali gloves and say, hey, commission, these are some of my special gloves. I got, Muhammad Ali was able to freaking autograph them. Can I wear them in the ring? They're going to say, hell no, you can't. They don't even fit standard. They barely have any cushion in them. Are those the same gloves he fought Joe Frazier with? DOG 215, he did remove it. Need a retroactive punishment. Damn. Shout out to DOG 215, man, in the building. Salute to you, man. Michael Lewis say, amen. DOG 215, I DM the WBC. Okay. From my understanding, I was looking, this is actually the person who was having, this is actually the media who was having the conversation, if I'm not mistaken. DOG 215, right? So he was actually the one having the conversation with Ben Davison. That's what I thought. I was just waiting on you to put some more comments up there. He said, I DM'd the WBC. They ignored me until I mentioned the feds. Why is that? Damn. Stumping with your big black boots, man. That's what I'm talking about. Damn, it's people out here that's making contact with the higher echelon, man, to move the room. Seriously. Ronald said it's supposed to be a sport at the end of the day. It's not truly barbaric to me. Michael said Operation Cover Their Ass in full effect. It's not the first. Salute, DBMA. Salute. Hey, DOG, you don't have to show your face, man, and nothing like that. You want to talk about that conversation you had with Davison, or you chilling on this Monday? You let me know, man. Because I kind of saw it was kind of the screenshot kind of blocked out actually your media. But if you want to give your part of that dialogue that you had with Davison, man, I'll send you the link to join the live, man. You don't have to show your face or anything if you're at work or whatever. You let me know. I'm all for it, like talking to these new media who have a different layer of communication. I'm saying it's some people that's actually getting in contact with the sanctioned bodies such as WBC and basically putting in full-time work. You know, they grinding hard behind the scenes. Bleacher Report is on it now, and ESPN has at least put an article out. Okay, that's what's up. So the Bleacher Report, I believe, is one of the I think I put up on Facebook of previously on what they talked about this particular situation, right? And then of course you had the naysayers that they're talking about it wasn't. But for those of you that's tuned in, you know, check out the Bleacher Report and check out that article for ESPN to further educate yourself on this particular situation with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Ronald say DOG 215 is a legitimate boxing head. Salute and thanks for dropping through, bro. Real talk. and good shit, you know, and getting that information, man. Actually, just having the courage to speak up like that. And believe me, I ain't kissing your ass either. You know, people when other black media support other black media, they'd be like, "Oh, you kissing his ass?" And all. I'm just telling the man, good job at what he doing. He going above and beyond the Call of Duty. Hey, that's what it is. That's my respect. Good shit, man. Salute to you, bro. Sir Ken said, World Combat Sports, salute to the wrenches. DOG said, I DM WBC on IG. When I said people are talking about the feds getting involved, all of a sudden they reply, smoke, fire. I only mentioned it hypothetically. I hit a nerve. Damn. At least you got a response. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't even took that precaution in what he just mentioned. He DM'd the WBC on IG, and not until he mentioned the feds was getting involved, you know, they hit a reply. That's somewhat like, you remember when I was reading that response, what was it? When I was speaking about the boxing voice, they actually had, they were speaking on a guy who sent a letter to the WBC. I'm not even sure, it might be talking to about the same person. I'm not sure, but they were saying that the WBC responded saying they did not find any irregularities, and their best interest was the health and well-being of the fighters. So, you know, you have people out here that's hitting the WBC up, man, and asking questions. And, you know, that's going above and beyond the Call of Duty, man. That's what's needed in this particular case. Michael said, hit them pockets. Ronald Finger, WBC at Fox Sport TV at PBC. Of course, ESPN, of course. But you know, the one aspect, I mean, the one point I bring for the ESPN, I really haven't even been touching up with them because they haven't put shit out. I was waiting on ESPN to even talk about it. They haven't even really talked about the glove situation. You know how much more exposure this would have elevated if just Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith, you know, just would have had segments on the potential and looking at the video of trying to explain to people, hey, listen, this right here doesn't look normal. This is not something you see every day in the sport of boxing. And also being that Max Kellerman has been covering the sport for quite some time. If Max Kellerman, Andre Ward, anybody would have just took the time to analyze video and say, listen, Andre Ward, in your time as a fighter, being a multi-time world champ, right? Have you seen the glove waver back like this? Do you think if your hand is in the glove, it can waver back so easily like that? I mean, I would have appreciated if some quality people would have got Timothy Bradley, Paulie Malignaggi, all that. Of course, with Paulie Malignaggi and, you know, the way he feels about Wilder, he may not have provided an honest assessment. But it would have been good to get those people up here to go for the video. And then they have the tools, right? Find another video recently of Tyson Fury gloves doing the same thing outside of the Fury Wilder one. You know what I'm saying? Just find it. Go back to all the other fights and find other video that is consistent with the form of his glove when he was flicking that jab out there. That's what we want to see. Just go out here and find it. Michael Lewis said, I found WCS like one fight before Wilder Fury too, and recognized a real commentator has been riding with Scott nonstop. Appreciate that, Mike. Ronald Finkley said, Michael Lewis, same here, bro. Here's definitely new media salute. I appreciate the support. You know, once again, appreciate DOG 215 for stopping through. Real talk. I'm definitely look him up on the YouTube channel after I get off this live and check out his content. There's some other legitimate boxing heads that's out there. It's just so many on, you know what I'm saying, periodically. You have to really do research and find out who they are. But I'm gonna check him out though, because I want to know more about this particular situation that he had with Ben Davison. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't get that information from him. I was able to get it from another source, you know, that's close to the Wilder camp. So I appreciate that. Salute my brother. Hey, Ross Shepard. Salute. Thanks for dropping in, man. But we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. And the wrenches, you know, DBMA. Appreciate the work last night. You know, old boy dropped through again this morning. So I just banned him. I just hid him from the channel, man. But, you know, shout out to the wrenches yesterday when the trolls was out to play. Like I said, shout out to the wrenches yesterday because the trolls was out to play. You know, he said, yeah, that's fact. They ignored the original plea to look into the statements made. Now they have to deal with the aftermath of putting out the statement with the new prior receipts put out. The receipts are out there for sure. The receipts are out there. And it's up to media, the new media. They keep on talking about the new receipts and keep on freaking slaughtering the trolls that's out here that's refusing and don't want to give any support for what's wrong in boxing. And what's wrong in boxing is this. You can't sit up here and ignore the fact that someone could have been seriously hurt. You can't ignore the fact that a fighter that really truly hasn't had a trend of being on the canvas like that, i.e. Deontay Wilder, it's no way that someone can say, you know what, he didn't have a chance to begin with. The only thing we had to go off of is that the press conference leading up to the fight, John Fury, Tyson Fury said, I'm going to knock him out. And then what did Deontay Wilder say? Deontay said, man, you got pillow fist. Is he going to say that just to say it? No, he said it because he was in the fight with him before. Then the fight take place. Fury said he's going to knock him out in 2 rounds. It didn't happen. He ended up getting the fight stopped in the 7th round. But at the end of the day, when did Fury, out of Safari, Pianetta, I say this over and over again, Schwartz and Wallen, when did he become a power puncher? When did Fury become this heavy hitter that he's going in there knocking people out? When? Did he knock out Klitschko? I mean, come on, man. When did he become this power puncher of the Marlon era, coming off a 2 years ban from the sport? When did he become a man with all this power? It's not because he went from 259 to 273. Don't even try it, man. Don't even try it. From 259 to 273, you trying to say he gained power that way? In that case, shit, Jarrell Miller, he should have went in there knocking heads off. Because we've seen Jarrell Miller balloon from high 200s up into the low 3s. He didn't come in there with any more power than we thought he would. You know what I'm saying? Just like Andy Ruiz, he gained weight. He didn't have that much power at all. We saw a degrade in Andy Ruiz, to be honest. Michael Lewis said Scott can vouch for this. During the fight, we all was like, damn, this looks bad. Deontay Wilder got whooped. The next day, after we watched the fight several times, we were all like, something looked funny. Man, something absolutely looked different, looked strange. You know what I'm saying? The champ wasn't himself. And then I look at all these little fine details, right? You know, when the fight was stopped, Deontay immediately questioned Kenny Bayless. Said, what are you doing? Whatever he said. Like, what the fuck? Don't stop the fight. What are you doing? I'm good. Right? So he immediately goes over to Mark Breeden and say, why you do that? Whatever he said to Mark Breeden. Why you do that? Why you do that? Now he's pleading with him consciously. That means he has his conscience to ask questions. Why you do that? Why you stop the fight? So while he was sitting in the corner taking his gloves off, he was just shaking his head in disappointment. That wasn't a fighter that was like trying to basically look for excuses, looking befuddled. He was like, shit, I'm pissed. I'm pissed they didn't let me go out on my shield. Now, if you get a certain fighter that talks like that, hey man, let me go out on my shield. People's like, okay, cool. He's a tough fighter. We'll let him go out on his shield. If it was a Tour Gotti and Mickey Ward, as much punishment as they took, if anyone was close to the apron, I guarantee you they wasn't planning on stopping that fight. How many fights have Eric Morales been in back then where they was just giving punishment and people was up on the apron with the towel like, let me throw that shit in there. It just didn't happen. I think Deontay Wilder was much more perturbed about the fight being stopped, and he may have felt he was about to, change the momentum a little bit, get his legs underneath him. Anything, but the man wanted to go out on his shield. So therefore, people's like, Deontay, please don't talk like that. This is boxing. You have a family. So when Anthony Joshua was getting his ass whooped, were people up on the apron, were people in the audience talking about throwing the towel, we love our champ, we love our champ. The countries that really love their champ, if you go to Mexico, Brazil, Philippines, they're not sitting up here. When Manny Pacquiao got knocked out, what happened? He got knocked out, right? Right? The battles that Manny Pacquiao has been in, how many times a towel was thrown in the ring to stop the fight? When Timothy Bradley was fighting Provodnikov, the punishment, oh my God. Did y'all see that fight? The punishment that Timothy Bradley and Provodnikov was giving each other. Bradley said 2 weeks after the fight, he still had slurred speech, I believe. Man, that shit was wild. And they sitting up here talking about Deontay Wilder in a sidebar conversation said something about a suit. So they run with the suit. But now the glove situation is coming up that is much more dangerous than the suit. And we're not getting the same freaking attention from mainstream, from old media. We're not getting the attention to analyze the videos that new media is able to have access to. That's what we want. We want you to bring up some clips and have Tyson Fury on deck and say, listen, Fury, I know that you're currently the champ, right? Heading into this trilogy with Deontay Wilder, we just have a few questions for you. First of all, we have this slide up here, the same slide that's been circulating that shows his knuckles in the bottom of the glove. We just want you to kind of answer, what is that exactly? Like, when you was punching Deontay Wilder, did your hand start to slide out the glove? All we want is some type of response, a credible response as to what that mean right there. You know what I'm saying? And then start going through the video footage of his glove wavering back. Now, what was going on right here? Did you dislocate your wrist there, Tyson Fury? Like, what was going on? And it's just your left hand now. What have your left hand? Does it have like, did you have an operation and have a different joint replacement put in there from the wrist that it allows your hand to go back 90 degrees and flicker in the wind like that? Was that part of the plan to come in here from the fight in 2018 with a different type of wrist? You know what I'm saying? Did you have an operation or something? I mean, just ask the freaking questions. How's your freaking hand able to do that in the glove? That's all we're trying to say, man. Ronald say, Darrell. Yeah, man. Yeah. And they was all happy about getting that attention too. Andre. Speaking of Darrell, I understand you're a fighter, right? I do. I understand both him and his brother fighters, Flint, Michigan-esque. You know what I'm saying? And I have respect for both of them. But what you were seeing in there, why haven't we seen them in any other fight? Why? Why haven't we seen them in any other fight to my throw in the towel? Like when Vladimir Klitschko fight was stopped against Anthony Joshua, It was the 11th round, and Vladimir was still on his feet. For those of you that truly follow boxing, you would know that the referee that was there was potentially there to help Anthony Joshua. The reason being, Vladimir Klitschko could have finished that fight. When the referee stopped the fight, Anthony Joshua was pretty much shocked that the fight was even being stopped. But Vladimir Klitschko could indeed went the full distance. Now, that was the preamble. Then you go up to Carlos Takam. Carlos Takam, the fight was stopped prematurely because there's no way they could have let the fight go past the 10th round, because Anthony Joshua was indeed set to face Alexander Povetkin. If Alexander Povetkin stopped Carlos Takam at this round, then Anthony Joshua has to stop him at this round. You know what I'm saying? It couldn't be like Gervonta Davis stopping Victor Postal and then Vasily Lomachenko going the distance. You know? So that's what I'm talking about. Like, Carlos Takam fight was stopped prematurely. The man deserved to go the distance. He was a tough fighter. And then you look at the hee-haw after that. Charles Martin, IBF. Where did that IBF come from again? Was that the same IBF that they was fighting for earlier when it was vacated in 10 days? He dove in 2 rounds. Manufactured paper champion. So he scooped up the IBF. He's just waiting on the motherfucking WBO from Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker went in there and freaking survived. Who was in play? The referee. The referee was in the equation the entire freaking fight. I mean, hey, shout out. I forgot. Shout out to, DBMA and all them that was here. We was on here like 2:30 last night, man. We was about to goddamn order breakfast up of this. You know what I'm saying? It was 2:30 in the goddamn morning. Shit, up here talking about boxing. Good comment there, Michael. When we was up here talking about Deontay Wilder fight. Yeah, we was absolutely up here noticing something was wrong. Ronald Fink say Fury should have been KO'd when his eyes closed in the first fight. I totally agree, man. Fury was knocked out the first fight. And just when you have Ronald Finkley and everybody else is tuned in, check this out, right? Like when you get people to come on here trolling like they did last night, and the first thing he want to say when I have him on is that do my research, because he was trying to say I said the Christian Hammer fight was after the Klitschko fight. Anybody who follow me and look at my content or my lives or whatever, I don't sit up here and challenge other media, and I don't expect them to come challenge me, because basically it would be good for us to communicate together and get the word out, right? But these people that's come on here talking about go look on this media and all that other shit. Speaking of what Ronald Finkley just said, speaking of the first fight, I have the video where I ran into freaking Jack Reese and holding my integrity. And I thank him for giving me the interview. I did. I respect the man for giving me the interview because he didn't have to. But for those people coming here trolling and shit and acting like I'm just supporting one fighter, you sadly mistaken. But in this particular case, I do support the champ. You know what I'm saying? So when I asked Jack Reese, and I think he asked me, do I think it's a long count? I said, yeah, I thought it was a long count. I told him to his face, I thought it was a long count. Real talk. It's on my YouTube channel. I told Jack Reese, the referee that was in the Deontay Wilder Fury first fight, I thought it was a long count. Now, of course, he may have felt some type of way about it, but this is the sport of boxing. I'm pretty sure I'm not the first person that's asked him a question and he didn't feel good about it. But I asked Jack Reese. I talked to him about that night. And off camera, we went over some film footage of the fight. And I appreciate and respect that he did that. But I thought it was a long count. I thought Tyson Fury was knocked out. The fight should have been stopped. Period. The fight should have been freaking stopped. Tyson Fury should have had a freaking loss on his record. And we shouldn't even been talking about anything else except, okay, Tyson Fury has a loss on his record. When is the rematch? Sir Ken said he went to bed at 3 a.m. Yeah, that was about right, man. You know what I'm saying? That was about right. The Darrell situation, man, I'm gonna leave that be. He ain't getting no shine over here, man, because I just think, you know, him being somewhat linked up to the Crunk gym and being all theatrical, you know, clowning and shit. I hope that didn't influence Mark Breland to throw in that towel. But, you know, them brothers, they should worry about their own fights, though. Real talk. Because if you put yourself in front of, you put yourself under the microscope like that, and you want to say we love our champion, but come on, bro. Why would you sit up here and not tell your corner to do the same thing for the fights that you was in? Was people on the apron when you was in your fights that you was losing? M. Greg said, I saw the Bradley fight. He had a concussion. He was in bad for a while, man. Yeah, Bradley took a lot of punishment in that fight, man. I just didn't understand why Timothy Bradley chose to fight that type of fight. Earned some respect from a lot of people. But God damn it. I was telling some boxing casuals, Provodnikov is not going to have a long career fighting like that. It's no freaking way in hell this guy's going to have a long boxing career. He's not going to be able to carry on, you know, from A, B to C. He's not going to be able to get the damn sentence out, man. He just takes too much punishment. DOG 215 said Darrell Crunk Fury. Yeah, man, unfortunately, that's what I'm hearing, that Darrell was linked up to the Crunk gym and up there being a clown, man. Of course, other fighters are linked up. They want to play the buddy system. Oh, look at this media saying about you. If a fighter ignores a certain type of media because they're saying something that you would say about another person yourself, as a grown-ass man, if you seeing somebody up here clowning, you would say, man, what's the fuck wrong with that dude? Why he sitting up there talking about, we love our champion. If we love our champion, bring up a video where you saying, you know what? Deontay Wilder has a fight coming up with Tyson Fury and MGM Grand on February 22nd. We love our champion so much. I want everybody to come out there. You know, better yet, I'm going to purchase 50 tickets so I can get some special fans to come up there and sit right in this area. If you love the champ so goddamn much, you should have did that. Buy some tickets and bring a whole group of people so you can sit them down so they can see the fight. Don't come here talking about you love the champ. We love our champ. And we don't see you up here advocating for the champ at all. We don't see shit. I remember that Tim Bradley fight, Bradley versus Provodnikov. Should have been stopped so many times. It should have, man. And all those fights just replay in my mind. Like I look at the Magic Taylor, Julio Cesar Chavez fight. 2 seconds left. Still stopping the fight with 2 seconds left. And he said he would have did it anyway. Again, like 2 seconds left? You trying to say Magic Taylor couldn't survive 2 seconds? 2 freaking seconds, man. And that fight ended up ruining that man's life because of what he wasn't able to do. Magic Taylor should have had that victory, man. He should have. He should have had that victory. Black Jesus say, bottom line, if it was Wilder on the floor and he got up the same time, they would have stopped the fight. I totally have to agree with that. If Wilder was laid out with his mouth open like Fury, another thing I mentioned, I failed to mention with Jack Reese interview, right? That it just, dealing with trolls is just, they don't understand the work ethic you have to go through to try to get these interviews and shit. And then when you're in the interview, you really have to focus on answering the right questions, because a lot of time, if you're not big time media, they don't show you the love like that. They don't allow you that 15, 20 minutes. But anyway, Jack Reese said the reason why he didn't stop the fight is that Tyson Fury's leg was up. Tyson Fury's right leg, I believe, I'm not sure, one of his legs was up where the sole of his feet was on the ground. And he said he had enough consciousness to hold his leg up. So right there, he did what was right for the spirit of the rules, of the spirit of boxing. So I said, what exactly is the spirit of the rules, the spirit of boxing or whatever? And he said, smirkingly, it's common sense. So I said, okay, explain common sense. So he was saying that Tyson Fury was holding his leg up. Forget about his mouth being open and his eyes in the back of his head. He said he was holding his foot up. His sole of his foot was on the ground. So he still had some type of mechanical functionality and competence to have control of his body. So he gave him an opportunity. Then the count. We can say that he picked up the count late from the ring, from the ringside, and then walked over there and told Deontay. Whatever the case, the referee's supposed to pick up the count right when the fighter is ruled knocked down. The referee's supposed to pick up the count. But when you pick up the count and then you go over there and pay attention to Deontay Wilder, and somebody who knows to go to the neutral corner, Deontay knows to go over there to the neutral corner. This is not his first championship fight. The man was reigning for over 5 years. So anyway, he goes over there and gets close to Tyson Fury. And he feels that, man, you know what? I need to give this man an opportunity to fight because he deserves it. That's pretty much what he was saying. Tyson Fury deserves the opportunity to get up off the deck. Look at the video, man. Look at the video. He said Tyson Fury, basically, his foot was up. One of his feet were up. He wasn't laying stretched out on the ground. So therefore, since he had one leg with his sole on the floor, he was mechanically in charge of his functionality, his body functionality. So therefore, he gave him an opportunity to rise. You know what I'm saying? He gave him an opportunity for the count instead of waving the fight off. He should have waved that shit off. Real talk, Black Jesus. You know what I'm saying? He should have waved that shit off. DOG 215 say by UK standards, Fury was KO'd. But the UK don't apply their own standards. You know, when it comes to the UK, UCAD, they do have their own standards, especially when it comes to Anthony Joshua, especially when it comes to Dillian White potentially not using the gloves that was agreed upon, especially when Dillian White's beat sample disappeared and they insert him back as the #1 WBC contender, mandatory, right? That's true words, my brother, for real. Finkley say at Black Jesus, let the mofos in the back hear it, salute. Real talk. 215 say, what I noticed is Wilder is envied more than I knew. No fighters near the ring who support Crunk. What I noticed Wilder is envied more than I knew. No fighters near the ring who support Crunk. From what I'm hearing about Crunk, man, was that the rail situation. He was being all theatrical and all that. And I actually spoke to a member of Deontay's team who was sitting right behind JD's, Mark Breland, and Coach Cuz. And they pretty much seen everything that was going on. But listen, he also mentioned there's a code with the team. Like, supposedly, the team that was sitting behind the corner also included Marcellus and some other people, right? And probably Deontay Wilder's cousins and stuff. Usually they roll together. You see those group of individuals rolling together at big fights like that. So you know how it goes. If you had somebody like Darrell over there yelling and screaming, stop the fight, then usually in a regional setting, you might get some people to stand up and say, man, shut the fuck up. Sit your ass down. But you on TV, there's a code of order and discipline that has to be maintained. You got to make sure you're not distracting from the corner in a fight such as this. They need to have full attention as to what's going on in the ring. So when you got JD sitting in front, and then you have Coach Cuz and Mark Breland on the other side, and then you have the team sitting in the back, you really can't sit up here and start making a scene just because the rail is over there saying, protect our champ, stop the fight. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of them cats want to stand up and say, why don't you sit your ass down? You know what I'm saying? Why don't you take your ass somewhere else? I'm pretty sure they wanted to say that. But out of respect for the team, the order, they stayed there and it happened the way it did, man. From my understanding, Mark Breland asked JD's twice, you want me to throw in the towel? JD said no. And, Mark Breland made the command decision. But, the team member said it's a code, and Mark Breland broke the code. So people was thinking that Mark Breland was fired. They up there advocating. And Mark Breland's a good dude, man. Every time I see him, he's a good dude. Hands down. Regardless if he threw in the towel, Mark Breland's a good dude, man. But you have people up here saying, oh, that's another reason why people were vilifying Deontay. Oh, now Deontay's being impulsive. He was out on his feet. Now he's going to fire the best guy on the team, Mark Breland. When you're running the team, man, there's certain orders that's given. There's certain codes that's in place. We know this. We definitely know this in the military. And like I said before, if we on a mission and we in the combat zone, listen to me, and you break ranks and do shit that hinders the squad or hinders the team or cause any type of problems, there are going to be repercussions. There's going to be repercussions. If you have the leader, the squad leader, and y'all on a mission, and you're in the back, and you break ranks, and you cost somebody their life, it's going to be repercussions. It's going to be repercussions. Believe that. Mr. Boxing Today, what's good with you, man? Salute, thanks for dropping through. It say true, I bought the PPV, but I swear I missed going to the event. I was all set to go to the event. And then I got word that they was catering to the UK media. And a lot of mainstream media that support was getting their credentials denied. So I'm like, I'm not really wasting money going over there if they're going to just cater. I'm not going, look, I've been to a big fight over the MGM Grand and without credentials, just to get the media footage. But this time I said, nah, I'm glad I didn't too. I'm glad I didn't go this fight. As much as I wanted to be a part of an epic fight like this, if you looked around the ring, what did you see? Let's be real. If you looked around the ring on fight night, what the hell did you see? Today, Boxing Today said, I remember watching Taylor Chavez live, man. Damn. My oldest uncle was heartbroken. He was a huge Taylor fan. Man, I think we all was a fan of Magic Taylor, especially him going in there with the tough Mexican fighter, Chavez Sr. That's the worst 2 seconds, I think, that I've experienced, seeing for somebody else, because ultimately that just changed his life in general. Like 2 seconds. I mean, it's different in mixed martial arts, man, I would say, because I've seen people with 4 seconds left, 2 seconds, I believe. I've seen it. But we're talking about the magnitude of that fight with Chavez Sr. and Magic Taylor. I just think Steele could have let that fight go to the bell, man. 215 said Darrell pumped fear in the Breland. I hope not, man. But I'm going to tell y'all like this, whether you like it or not, man, when goddamn Deontay came over there and spoke to Mark Breland, it was just like, when you see a baby get caught in the act, they basically made a mess. And when your parents come in there and they put their hand on their hip back in the day, that's almost what I seen with Deontay Wilder go in there and say, what are you doing? Did you see Mark Breland stick his hand like, I felt bad for him, man. Like I felt bad for Mark Breland. If he was persuaded by an outside team member to throw in the towel, I just felt bad that he was influenced and pressured like that. I felt bad for the man. I ain't gonna lie. I felt bad for Deontay because at the point in time, he loses his belt. You know what I'm saying? The man is on his 11th defense, been reigning for over 5 years. He's in the company of Muhammad Ali and others. And to get his belt taken by Tyson Fury. To get stopped by a fighter who really isn't considered a power puncher. And now the truth is coming out. You know what I'm saying? I think they say the rail should be banned from the front row. From what I understood there, Finkley, is that the rail was not on the front row, but somehow made his way up to the front or so forth. So it's several stories going around. He made his way up to the front to keep on yelling and screaming. And then some people saying he was talking like 5 or 6 rows back. I don't know the story. I would like to talk to him myself, but I know that the Rail brothers, from seeing them in person, they're not going to get on here and explain shit to me. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to do it. They're not going to explain nothing to me. UK media. Yeah, UK media was all on the front row surrounding the ring over there at that rematch, man. Boxing, they say Spence Fear was on the first person. The first person I heard speak of Wilder leaving Breland in the hallway crying. I don't know who that is. Ferron and Johnny Nelson both have boxing knowledge, but I can't take anything they say serious about us. I'm not sure who that is, man. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to ponder who you exactly talking about. I did hear people that seen Mark Breland up there crying. And listen, I look at it different. I say it now like I said back then. You don't sit up here and break code like that. Like, your fighter good enough. Like, if we go into combat and basically we know certain individuals that's on our squad or on our tactical team, right? If we ever in a situation, you already know the ones that's going to pretty much dig deep down and squeeze off. The ones that's really going to have your back if the enemy is coming forward and they're going to sacrifice their life. You know that, right? When it comes to boxing, it's up to certain individuals. Deontay Wilder has a lot of day one people around him. So they know and seen how tough this dude is. Like, don't he have a rod in his right hand? Hasn't he been into fights injured, coming off surgery? You know what I'm saying? Hasn't he been that guy that come into fights with what, 3rd-degree burns? If you look at that fight, I forgot who he was fighting, but the scab, you can visually see, where the scab was. He's been that guy to come into the heat of battle, and he's not 100%. So therefore, I believe it's up to the team members to know how tough Deontay Wilder is. So when he was in that corner and Tyson Fury was placing his whole palm in the face of Deontay Wilder and then hitting him with that right and up top, right to the body, and then Deontay Wilder returned that left hook. They should have said, okay, damn, we good. He's responding. We should give him an opportunity. But before that, the towel was already behind the referee. And the commission got the attention of Kenny Bayless, and the fight was stopped. Like I said, I felt bad for Mark Breland, but there is a code when it comes to combat. Seriously, it's a code that comes to in combat. It's a code. If you get a team of mixed martial artists just rolling together, right? They're rolling together and shit pop off. You can almost guarantee everybody in the squad is gonna fight. Everybody. Because that's the way it goes down. Even in boxing. I would say sometimes in boxing, you might have more people there that may train boxing, or some people just rolling around as an entourage or whatever. But I know in mixed martial arts, if you see a group of cats rolling around, look, 9 times out of 10, majority of the people that are in that group of pugilists can fight. They train mixed martial arts, they roll together, they have a close-knit community. Not so much with boxing. Boxing, you will see people that's hip-hop artists, people that's from the hood, you know, rolling with their fighter, all that shit, man. DBMA say, checking on the updates about Tyson's cryptic message. Some saying sounds like a threat or trying to impose scare tactics, all dressed in a Batman Halloween suit. Old Tyson Fury. The Rail explained on Fred's channel, then in the main media switched the story. Well, I did tune in to Fred channel that day. He had the Rail on there, and that's when the Rail was basically saying that he was at this role, he was at that role, and all this other stuff. But the point remains is I truly don't know why he was overly invested in saying save our champ. I just don't know why he was overly invested. I know he's a fighter, but I just don't know why he was overly invested. That's all. But I did see that video, man. 215 said, boxing today, I trust no black ex-UK fighter. They have ulterior motives. Boxing Day say, you're most likely seeing Spencer Ferran and Johnny Nelson. They work for Sky Sports. Okay, ex-UK fighters. Okay, I got you. Some of these people I see by face, and to be honest, I don't know their full name like that. I don't. I got you, though. I got you. 215 say, problem is Breland ain't a killer in a dark alley in a fight. Breland will wave the white flag. And you know what? I'm not here to say if he's a killer or not. I just know the man has a superb amount of freaking silver glove champion, freaking gold Olympian, and former world champion. Every time I see him, he does look like he's on the backside of his career chilling, low key. But a code is a code. And if you ever fought, you understand that. That's all. You understand that. If Deontay told me before we win the fight, whatever you do, because look, this is who made that statement? Who made that statement? It's a fighter that said, man, I forgot what the fighter name. I'm trying to figure out the fighter who said that. He just fought too. But this fighter said, if anybody in my corner would have threw in the towel, they better have left the building by the time I leave the ring. That's what he was saying. If you would throw in the towel, you better very well have left the building and go into hiding because I'm coming looking for you. And I understand what he's talking about. But I hear you, 215 for real. Boxing Today say that might be the same pic of him dressing up like Batman doing that Klitschko presser. It's possible. He did come in with a Batman costume, you know, playing around and shit. That's what Fury does, man. DBMA say, yeah, he got those third-degree burns when he fell off his bike, the pavement burns, and he got his hand broken from the fight prior, but still finished the fight with Stavern. Yeah, he's been in the fights. Good point, DBMA. He's been in the fights injured, man. You know, Deontay Wilder's a tough dude. He's cut from a different cloth, man. He's built differently out of Alabama. You know, he has the stature of that of a basketball player, but he's innately gifted with a crucial amount of power. So I still I still say to this day, he's the hardest hitter in boxing. It doesn't matter if he lost one fight. The man is the hardest hitter in boxing, man. You just have to tune it up and know how to technically insert some more wrinkles to your boxing game. That's all. I think we got plenty of time to build during the boxing break. Stay vigilant. Yeah. We got plenty of time to talk about this in the boxing break. And you know, the kids are out of school too. Man, look, somebody told me, I forgot who it was. They was talking about NYC schools. I'm not sure if he's talking about the schools or whatever. They were saying the schools was out to April. I'm not sure if that's all the way true, but can you imagine it's only the 16th of March and to be out of school a whole entire month? Let me get back to boxing. 215 said an undefeated mentality is what Breland can't understand. And all those hating boxers who have so-called skills but don't have Wilder's record. I need to reread that. Undefeated mentality is what Breland can't understand. And all those hating boxers who have so-called skills but don't have Wilder's record. You know, 215, I was just at a regional card trying to have a conversation. So, you know, when a lot of black people get in a conversation talking about boxing, you hope and pray that you have some individuals that has a sound mind, right? So I'm talking to this dude who's telling me this was the fight with Wilder and Fury. And he's telling me that majority of the fighters that's on Deontay Wilder's record is regional level fighters. And he said, you know, of course he's talking about, you know, Wilder's a bum and everything. Wilder's a bum. That's what he was saying. So I'm saying, so you take the 41 knockouts, and we know that the 42 victories came from defeating Stavern twice and Luis Ortiz twice, right? So I'm saying, well, is Luis Ortiz and Bermain Stavern, you know, Tyson Fury, that gives you 5 fights right there. Are they regional level? And he tried to tell me that really doesn't matter. I say, so Luis Ortiz was undefeated before he stepped in the ring with Deontay Wilder the first time. He was undefeated. He came off that spectacular performance against Conjanu, you know, showed his southpaw boxing prowess. But this guy is basically saying Deontay Wilder's entire record, negate the fact of his Olympic bronze medal. He was a bum. All his record was regional level fighters. And it's hard to have a conversation with a person like that, because you look at them and shake your head and you say, God damn, you know, you stupid as fuck right now. Like, what is going on? How can you say somebody's a bum in there with heavyweights? Dude is at the top of the freaking food chain in the boxing division, and every one of his freaking opponents are bums? But yet you're going to say, so of course I line up the bait. I say, so what about Anthony Joshua? Does he have a better resume? Of course. I say, so who? First person he mentions is Vladimir Klitschko, the person that was on hiatus, right? Then he goes in there and talks about Charles Martin. They start talking about the champions that he's defeated. So, of course, I had to correct him. And I said that he didn't take the belt from Vladimir Klitschko. First and foremost, he fought for the vacant, right? And we all saw what happened with Charles Martin and Tony, and I keep saying Tony, but Joseph Parker. We all seen what happened. But we also saw in 2018 where him and Eddie Hearns made it as difficult as possible to set up negotiations with Deontay Wilder for the unification. We know that. They could have just as well provided a fair contractual offer so that Shelly Finkel and Lou DiBella at the time could have came together, made that fight happen, and we seen that fight in the States. But yet they just wanted to say, you know what, Deontay, we're giving you $12 million flat fee. And for Joshua to allow that buffoonery to happen, he's just as guilty. Hey, shout out to the Line Killer, man. I ain't see you over there. Shout out to you, man. Salute. Boxer today said Ronald Finkley, salute, bro. No trolling zone. Finkley, if you real, come in boxing talk as you. Never cheated the fans. 215. Ortiz is feared by all Matchroom and Fury too. I stopped talking to my nephew over this. No haters in my circle, blood or not. It's real talk, man. Hey, I can't talk about my circle because my family know nothing. They know nothing about boxing. I'm talking about brothers and sisters and all that. They don't talk nothing about boxing. They probably see me up here and they say, damn, I didn't know he talked about boxing. Because why am I talk boxing with somebody who knows nothing about the sport? It's pointless. But I would say this. When we do get together to talk about boxing, it is a group of individuals that can, I look at it like this. It is grown adults out there that can talk about boxing. If you learn something for somebody, if they have taught you something, you're not going to lose any more credibility to say, you know what, damn, appreciate that. I ain't know that shit right there. You just taught me something. But you got so many young heads out here that want to be ahead of just the situation because they come out here saying they're the best at what they do and ain't nobody can fuck with them. But when I hear these debates that's going on social media, I hear a bunch of people arguing. It's just an argument. And then it gets the motherfucker this, motherfucker that. Nigga this, nigga that. You know what I'm saying? It turns into a personal sparring match instead of boxing. That's just my point, man. It'd be good if we can hold a summit, get some boxing heads together, and talk about some, come up with some very valuable talking points that's happened over the span of the last several months, and talk about that shit. Not only do you get to understand that you are in the face of people that you see on YouTube and new media, you know what I'm saying? People that's out here grinding and doing media, but now you get to have a conversation with them. If you say something stupid, they get to respond to your face. You know what I'm saying? Not all this computer shit. You get to hear different dialogue of individuals that's out here covering the sport of boxing. And I'm gonna try to make that shit happen too. Watch. Hey man, y'all chill on Lion Killer, man. I fuck with Lion Killer, man. He helped my channel in the beginning. We can coexist, y'all. Y'all gonna have to take that up elsewhere. You know what I'm saying? I can't sit up here. I understand y'all know each other, have a history or whatever the case, but real talk. I fuck with Lion Killer, man. That dude helped me out with a lot of freaking media shit coming up. I'm just keeping it 100. Lion Killer said, do I need to prove to you I'm not a troll, Finkley? For those of you that don't know who Lion Killer is, man, that's World Breaker. So World Breaker did have his old channel, but he came back with his new channel. I have nothing to do with what he has. He still, speaks media, and that's what it is, man. I don't have nothing to do with whatever happened over there with that particular other organizations. DBMA greetings and salutations. Think you called me at 4 a.m. in the morning after a live stream in 2017. Exactly. That's World Breaker. Like I said, there's no say so in this. Lion Killer said World Breaker is dead. Hey, we basically turned from the topic, man. Finkley, man, you was talking some good boxing shit, man. Keep it on boxing, bro. I know y'all have a history or whatever, but man, keep it on boxing, bro. Don't bring the war over here in this field, man. Come on, man. I'm not gonna say my brothers, man. I'm just saying y'all old enough, y'all grown enough, man. Michael Lewis say play nice. But yeah, man, speaking of that, Shakur Stevenson, man, I like what he said. I like what Shakur Stevenson said. I'm going to read the article that Shakur Stevenson mentioned. As you know it, the fight that Shakur Stevenson was supposed to have this past weekend, it was postponed. You feel me? So what I am getting is the intention of Shakur Stevenson is to try to unify the division he's currently in, right? So if by chance he's able to unify that division, he's thinking wholeheartedly of moving up. He's trying to get a fight with Josh Warrington in the future. If that doesn't happen, he's thinking about moving up. And I totally like that move by Shakur Stevenson because I believe he's one of those fighters right now, young in the game, silver Olympian, only 13 fights and 7 knockouts, man. I believe Shakur Stevenson can shake up boxing with any division he move up to. I know I'm hearing people saying that if he move up to 135, he'll get stopped by this, that, and the other. But I'm going to tell you, Shakur Stevenson is a different type of bred fighter, man. Seriously. He's made serious changes as he's been on the rise as a fighter. He said Michael Conlon maybe just gonna take a little longer to adjust to the pro game. So if you don't know, Michael Conlon, from my understanding, is the guy who Shakur Stevenson met in the freaking AMs. Stevenson told Mannix, I don't know what's going on with Michael Conlon. The top rankings making sure they move him real slow and keep him away from any danger like a Shakur Stevenson. I might be wrong. I'm not sure if they fought. But 22-year-old Stevenson won a silver medal in Olympics in Rio de Janeiro. Conlon emphatically stuck up his middle finger at the judges after a very controversial loss to his opponent in the bantamweight quarterfinals. Conlon avenged the Olympic loss in the last fight when he beat Nikitin by unanimous decision, 10-round decision, December 4th at Madison Square Garden in New York. So no, Conlon and Shakur Stevenson don't have a relation. I remember seeing this guy fight on TV. Yeah, I remember him being able to fight that opponent that he had a history with in the AMs. Got you. The left-hand Stevenson wants featherweight title unification. The left-handed Stevenson want title unification against England's Josh Warrington, who's 30-0. That'll be a good fight. They have the same amount of knockouts. Stevenson have 7 knockouts. Josh Warrington has 7 knockouts. Who is the unified champion currently? Josh Warrington, I believe, is the IBF champion currently. So it'd be good to try to unify those titles. He plans to get a WBO featherweight title he won 4 months ago to fight at 130. So basically, Stevenson said if Stevenson can't land that fight with Warrington, he plans to give up the WBO featherweight and move up to 130. If Stevenson vacates the title, Conlon could fight the next available contender for an unclaimed championship. We know how that process works. Let me see what's going on over here. Chat is active. Ron Finger said, I'm always talking boxing, not beefing, just stating the facts. I was looking forward to Shakur versus Mariaga. The fight dude recorded was stacked against Shakur. Mariaga fight dude record was stacked against Shakur. Yeah, man. Miguel Mariaga, I think his record was like 29-3, right? 25 knockouts, I think. Mariaga, man, yeah, he had been in there with freaking Oscar Valdez, I believe, and Vasily Lomachenko, of course. But before that, he was in there with Nicholas Waters. It's crazy, man. It would have been a good fight for Stevenson. The much more experienced fighter that's on a 4-fight knockout streak was Mariaga. It would have been a good fight. Steven definitely needs a bigger platform. Lion Killer said, World Combat Sports is my brother. I'm going to be there. I'm always go to support him. Let's be honest. I'm probably the reason you're over here in the first place. Wrong finger say you reach there, follow all boxing content. I do, it's been said that Ronald Finkley is everywhere. I ain't gonna lie. Michael say, move on, bro, move on, get over it. Grown man, move on. Everywhere, new media, boxing talk goes, salute. I appreciate all y'all dropping through World Combat Sports, man. Real talk. Hey, shit ain't gonna be perfect all the time, but I appreciate y'all stopping through. I think to say I'm not beefing with you, just stating facts. You're not the Monica say you're not the one calling me a troll. You initiated this, not me. What is stating that you used to have a channel called World Breaker Fight and have to do with World Combat Sports? The only thing I can say about World Breaker is when I had barely any subs on my channel, he did tell people to go on continuous occasion to sub to my channel. That has nothing to bleed over into the way anybody else feels about the situation. I appreciate y'all supporting all that. But when you talk about media, supporting media, he turned me on to a lot of stuff. He did tell them to come up here and support me. So I appreciate it. Real talk. Outside of this boxing too, you know what I'm saying? Lewis say, will I have to do a COVID-19 awareness meeting on job sites? So I'm out. Hey, shout out to you, Michael Lewis, man. Continue to do your thing, man. And, make sure you take the necessary precautions so you won't get sick, man. I want to know, what did y'all think about the back and forth Twitter that's going on between Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis? I just want to hear some solid comments about if that fight was to take place in the upcoming months. The reason why it's important is because Ryan Garcia is trying to make a name for himself. I still think he has a lot of work to do, right? And then you have Gervonta Davis coming off that sensational victory, 12th round stoppage against Yuriorkis Gamboa. If they was to fight, just say in November, December, at the end of the year, what do you all see? How do you all see that fight, man? Do you believe that Ryan Garcia is Davis, 3-time world champion? Do you believe that Ryan Garcia is ready for a former junior lightweight champion and a lightweight champion? I just want to get your input on that. Do you think Ryan Garcia is one of those fighters that would give Gervonta a competitive go? Because we all know they can bring the fans. People are going to pay to see the fight. But how do you believe that Ryan Garcia is ready to step up like that? Okay. While y'all get to that, I'm going to pull up something right quick. So Ronald Finkley said Ryan should be fighting Devin Haney with his so-called popularity. I mean, the way them two want to be best friends all the time, it would be good to see them fight one another. You know, looking at Ryan Garcia's record, he's 20-0, 17 knockouts. You know, he's only 21 years old, still young in the game. So we all know the comparison that was given when he, what was the fighter that he fought? I mean, you know, his record is still freaking flourishing. Not really any huge names on there, but you know, the Jose Lopez, he's getting all these knockouts, man. If you look at his record, his last 4 fights have been all stoppages. They're really trying to build this kid up to be a power puncher. We know he has speed, okay? You know, when you talk about power and timing, those two correlate together perfectly. You know what I'm saying? So in his last 5 fights, he has 1 decision. And we all saw what happened. I don't need to go through it. Romero Dono, Francisco Fonseca, you know, sitting up there just fighting a crazy fight, kept on coming forward, being predictable. And Ryan Garcia stopped him in the first round, man. Come on with that shit, man. You hit that man with a freaking counter left hook. He lays out there like he saw Jesus. I'm just not feeling that. I'm just not feeling that at all. Because the experience that Fonseca had with over 25 fights, he should approach that tactically entirely different than what he did. For him to get stopped in the first round like that is disappointing. It's shame. He should be ashamed, man. Sir Ken said, great fight. I just think Davis has a style Garcia has not seen yet. Of course, you know that Ryan Garcia is with quick hands. At least on the reaction bag, he's good. But to say that Gervonta Davis haven't seen a fighter like Ryan Garcia, I don't know, man. Ricardo Nunez, believe it or not, he was stopped early, but Ricardo Nunez was game. You know, Ricardo Nunez was game, man. You know, you got to look at him stopping Victor Postal. I mean, he's going in there with a tough Olympian. Now, let me ask you this, Sir Ken. Do you believe that Yuriorkis Gamboa is less of a fighter than Ryan Garcia? Because I believe Gamboa is more talented, way more talented than Ryan Garcia. So for Tank Davis to venture in the rounds that he's never been in his career and go 12 rounds and stop Gamboa, I truly believe he can do much more with Ryan Garcia. Seriously. Man, Gamboa was taking some leather. Gamboa was actually boxing. He was hurt early. You know, he had the foot issue, the ankle issue, but he was still in there to fight. He wasn't there to freaking lay down, right? There's no way that anyone gonna tell me that Ryan Garcia is better than Gamboa right now. I can't see that until he steps up in competition and fights somebody outside of Fonseca or Donald. It's nothing they can tell me. Now, I would like to see the fight. I'm not gonna lie. But is it something that Floyd Mayweather is gonna allow Gervonta to have? Like, does Floyd Mayweather see anything productive? Is it a money fight? Is it something the fans want to check out? You know what I'm saying? But to say Gervonta Davis haven't seen a fighter like Ryan Garcia, I don't know, bro. Like, I know for a fact Ryan Garcia is not better than Gamboa. I want to see him go in there and fight Gamboa and knock him out in the first round like he did Fonseca. If Ryan Garcia is able to do that, I was like, shit, he might have some goddamn power. He might be serious. You know what I'm saying? He might indeed be serious. Ron Finkley say he at 160 now. Just saying. Ryan Garcia is on that same formula to duck his category of people he should face. They saying Tank Davis at 160. Tank Davis walking around middleweight, goddammit. Shit. I told somebody, hey, we might see Tank Davis at welterweight, but I know a lot of people saying he was too short. But Tank Davis, he's still pretty young in the game, man. So if he's at 135 right now, who's to say he won't be at 140? The fighters at 140 isn't that tall. And then you look at the fighters at 147, they're not that tall either. We're not seeing any Paul Williams fighting in the welterweight division. We're not seeing fighters like that. Sebastian Fundora is not fighting in the freaking welterweight division. Sir Ken said Garcia is young and fresh, but Davis comes forward with speed and power. Man, I'm telling y'all, man, Gervonta Davis, man, is a Wolverine. I'm not even exaggerating, man. Gervonta Davis is the truth when it comes to freaking killer instinct, man. Dude is that savage. Gervonta Davis is that savage. We really haven't seen Ryan Garcia having to go through that depth of digging deep and find out, is he about that life when he faced adversity? We haven't seen Ryan Garcia be put in that situation, especially with a hitter like Gervonta Davis. I know, just say for Devin Haney, will Ryan Garcia approach a fight with Devin Haney differently than he would Gervonta? Absolutely. Absolutely he will. Absolutely. Yeah, I think they say no way Ryan Garcia is better than Gamboa. And I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. But what, I was just trying to tell Sir Ken, right, is that when you talk about Gervonta not seeing a person like Ryan Garcia, has Ryan Garcia ever seen a fighter like Gamboa? Like Gamboa took some shots in that fight. I don't know how the dude was staying up until the 12th round. I just don't know how the fight wasn't stopped early on. Like Gervonta hit Gamboa and landed some very hard shots. And I was absolutely amazed that he was able to go on as long as he did. But, Gervonta stayed on the hunt like a wild dog, man. He stayed on the hunt, and he ended up getting the stoppage in the 12th round. Shit was wild. I'm just curious to see myself. Think they said, Ken, don't get me wrong, but Lil Tank has to show me something this summer. We all curious to see who Tank is going to come back in there with. We all want to know. We definitely want to know who Tank Davis is coming back in there with. Yeah, people dropping stuff in the inbox about they want to they act like they want to come on the live, right? But they have to have some talking points to come on the live. You know what I'm saying? And I'm an old head, man. I don't have time to come here and argue with media that just want to advocate for Tyson Fury all the time. That's not the only fight I cover. Deontay Wilder is not the only fight. I'm covering this because it's a hot topic. And it needs to be resolved. Justice need to happen with understanding if Tyson Fury did what he did. For real, because like we said, we don't want our champ to sit up here and have his belt taken from a cheat. But it looks like, in what I'm saying, they're going to let this fight go on to the trilogy in July and pick up some money. Period. That's what I see this happening. If we don't hear anything in the next month, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we don't hear anything about investigation going on, because this is a criminal act. If Tyson Fury is found guilty and liable, he could be out the sport for several years. And Tyson Fury leaving the sport for 8 years, if he's been suspended before, of course, the second punishment is going to be much more severe. So if he's out the sport for 5 to just say 8 years, that's the end of his career. And plus his dad is saying, okay, I want him to retire. Now we got to find out, did he cheat before he retired? That's what we want to do. We got to get this information right. We got to get some justice before he decide to retire. You just can't come in here and cheat, give somebody punishment, and then you have all the naysayers running around saying the same thing over and over again. But Deontay Wilder lost. We're not freaking talking about did he lose. We already know he lost. We're not talking about that. Ken say, Ronald Finkley, salute. Tank has to show me also, but Garcia has not fought this type of dog yet. That's all I'm saying. Garcia hasn't did it yet. Finkley said, appreciate it, World Combat Sports Media. Salute. Salute, man. Ronald Finkley in the building, man. Salute for your support. Thank you. You know, we're going to have to see it, man, because Gervonta Tank Davis is definitely a dog. Real talk. We definitely want to see that fight, though. Gervonta Davis fight somebody. I don't foresee his comeback fight being Ryan Garcia, because Ryan Garcia just got off a fight camp. February, he just knocked out Fonseca, so it's going to be a minute. I believe that Gervonta Davis needs to get back in the square. He don't need to be out the ring too long. Seriously. You know, start picking up weight and everything, and then he had to get back in the fight camp and struggle to make weight. The last fight he was in with Gamboa, he missed weight by a pound. So, you know, he was cutting weight to the last minute. So he don't need to be out the sport that long. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't need that, man. He need to stay active. Finkley said Tank has a couple of disadvantages against Garcia. Speed and reach. Yeah, we're looking to see about that speed, man. Seriously. We're looking to see, because if you're talking about speed and reach, if Ryan Garcia isn't using the jab to keep Tank Davis honest with that reach and with his speed, it's not going to be effective to a fighter like Gervonta, because Gervonta can box his ass off, man. He can. But if Ryan Garcia is not able to freaking authoritate the reach with popping the jab out there, using the speed, setting up the combinations, you're not going to sit up here and just say, okay, I'm going to be a counter puncher against Gervonta. You're going to have to switch that shit up, because Gervonta, one thing I'll say about him, if you look at his fight with Gamboa, when he steps in for that jab, if it's up top or to the body, he knows he's short. The way he close distance and land that shot, he get in, man. When I say he get in, he get out. Like, he's very, very surgical when he steps in for that jab. He's very low, compact, and Ryan Garcia is gonna have to understand that counter left hook, you know what I'm saying, that counter right hook, it's not gonna work as often as he think it would have against Dono and Fonseca and all that. Like Gervonta Davis, when he comes in and out, he's gone. He's gone. And if he hurts Ryan Garcia, hey, you're talking about one of the worst killers you can be in front of in boxing. Gervonta Davis, once he smell blood, man, and you show any signs of being hurt, it's done. We're going to see what kind of chin Ryan Garcia has. Everything. Good point there, Finkley. Good point. We'll see, man, if the fight is even made, because I really want to see how Ryan Garcia's chin hold up. I want to see how he take those shots to the body. I want to see, is Ryan Garcia a true bona fide power puncher? Like, if he's able to land on Gervonta Davis, I want to see how Gervonta react to it. I want to see if he's actually, you know, can Garcia be considered one of the heavy hitters at 135? Seriously. if Garcia goes in there and do something we ain't seen before, just say, for instance, he drops Gervonta or hurts Gervonta, people are really going to start tuning in like, shit, Ryan Garcia, he may indeed have power with his speed. That's going to be crazy, man. I want to see all those young hitters fight each other. Seriously. I can't frown. I cannot frown on Ryan Garcia and what he's doing. I can't. If Ryan Garcia want to call out Gervonta, why not? You got, forget Vasily Lomachenko. You know, he still holds some badges there, though. You know what I'm saying? He's a WBA and WBO champion. He still got some badges up in there, right? Forget about him. We're talking about the main hitters that's in the freaking lightweight division. We're talking about the Teofimos is gonna be up there. You know, I know Ryan Garcia can't fuck with Teofimo. And I know for a fact Teofimo Lopez is not going to face Gervonta Davis before he moves up to 140. It's just not going to happen. Let me pull up some potential matchups. Because, you know, we got the Devin Haney's, Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia's, Teofimo Lopez. We have, I want to go over some freaking matchups in the lightweight division. So if you haven't already heard, the WBC, the vacant WBC that was basically put on recess from Devin Haney, supposedly Javier Fortuna and Luke Campbell supposed to be fighting for that belt, right? We all know who Javier Fortuna is, and we know Luke Campbell failed at getting the vacant WBC when he fought Vasily Lomachenko. Somewhat the same thing as Sergey Derevyanchenko when he fought for the vacant IBF title twice. But check this out. If by chance Fortuna and Campbell fights, cool, do that. Because I just don't know why they still have Devin Haney up here as the WBC champion. But another person that you cannot sleep on, Robert Easter. We look at across the board, it gets thin real quick. You got Lee Selby over there, Ryan Garcia. I mean, it gets thin real quick when you go to the bottom five. When you go to the top five, you get the Jorge Linares, right? You know what I'm saying? You get the regular names that's already been up there and lost. But you got the Ryan Garcias, Lee Selby's, Robert Easter, Luke Campbell, Javier Fortuna, and then of course Teofimo Lopez, and then you have Richard Comey. You know, Richard Comey is still in the hunt, but we just don't know what he has planned since losing very badly to Teofimo Lopez. Richard Comey is in the IBF. He's sitting at number 10 right now. And this is what I mean about Gary Russell Jr. Gary Russell Jr. is 2 divisions down right now. So he said he wanted to fight more, right? And he was thinking about moving up, not to 130, but to 135. He's made it adamant that he will want to face Gervonta Davis. You know, he's been calling out people. And also the boxing public will want to see him face Vasily Lomachenko again. That's the only loss that Gary Russell has on this record, y'all. Of course, we want to see that fight. Of course. Could you see Gary Russell Jr. fighting Robert Easter? Oh, wait. You talking about height? Finkley, you talking about height? Jesus. True. Finkley say Robert Easter jab is not good. He needs to sharpen that shit. Yeah, man. Robert Easter, you know, he could have did much, much better when he was in there with Mikey Garcia. He could have stayed punctual, kept his distance being a taller fighter, but he allowed Mikey Garcia to close in on him and land combinations. I'm like, even a knockdown. Like, I could have thought, you know, him being a taller fighter, man, he could have did a lot better distance gauging when he was fighting. He's a taller fighter. Man, you know, look at the way Paul Williams. Not everybody can fight like Paul Williams, man. Shit. I miss Paul Williams in the ring, man. But the lightweight division is hot from like 3, the ranking of 3 all the way up, 5 all the way up, or something like that. Seriously. They need Gary Russell to come up there to the 135-pound division. It's dead, man. Seriously. Jorge Linares is still hanging out around there. When I seen the Gamboa fight, it made me make a video. It was official what had happened. Loma better be careful. I hope that fight isn't off. Well, from what I was hearing, that Lomachenko they was arguing about money. I mean, not money, on the venue. They didn't feel they can get a fair shake if it was in New York. I think so. I want to see Gary Russell at 130. I think he's still at 126. Gary Russell's still at 126. But he said it was nobody that appeased him. You know what I'm saying? Gary Russell said it was nobody that appeased him at 130. Now, of course, we all know Gary Russell been calling out Leo Santa Cruz forever and a day. Forever and a day. You know what I'm saying? You got Burchett up there. You have Leo Santa Cruz, Joseph Diaz. You know, Joseph Diaz has already. So I'm pretty sure Gary Russell ain't trying to go there and fight Jojo Diaz again, right? And then you have Jamel Herring. Jamel Herring's a WBO. That'll be a good fight. You know, Jamel Herring's still trying to get his name out there to a point where people talk about him fighting other top names. But he's defending his title. He's a world champion. But I don't think the people are going to be calling for Gary Russell to fight Jamel Herring. But Leo Santa Cruz, yeah. Rochelle, yeah. So we'll see how that works out. And 140, of course, they waiting on the freaking unification between Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor. That's what we're trying to get in the welterweight division. In the welterweight division, we're trying to get this set up. You know what I'm saying? Ramirez is the WBC and the WBO champion. Josh Taylor is the WBA and IBF champion. That's what we're trying to get with Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. We need to somehow get Terrence Crawford to fight Manny Pacquiao, scoop that belt up, and then them two link up just the way the 140-pound division is. That's what we need, man. That's exactly what we need. But that's all I got right now, people. I'll definitely be on a little bit later. I want to talk about the freaking the UFC card that was just on, and you know, no audience, of course, no gathering. They was in Brasilia, and Charles Oliveira defeated Kevin Lee. And I'm gonna tell you, those of you that tune in to Charles Oliveira, man, he looked extremely better than he's ever looked. The man is on an 8-fight win streak. At one time, he had back-to-back losses. But it just goes to show you, if you get in the gym and fight on the smaller cards and get your skill set together, you can go ahead and improve tremendously. And that's what Charles Oliveira was able to do. I mean, the way he was sitting outside the front door of Kevin Lee and landing his kicks, like he was switching it up, man. He was landing punch, low calf kicks, and then he'll shoot that kick up the middle. And at first, Kevin Lee was avoiding it pretty good. And then he started touching him on the chin with that front kick. And Kevin Lee was like, shit, I don't even know if I'll be able to handle this pressure. And then did y'all see when he was able to get the takedown? Charles Oliveira was like an octopus. Every time Kevin Lee thought he was going to escape, and what he worked on in the gym all the time, Oliveira was like, no, it's not that easy, homie. He had an ankle, he had a leg. Man, he had freaking Kevin Lee thinking constantly over and over again, what next? What next? Man, Charles Oliveira was showing his ground game 2 and 3 steps ahead of Kevin Lee. It was magical to watch, man. Like, Oliveira showed that his ground game is on another level right now in the lightweight division. I mean, his jiu-jitsu skills was just like any way left or right that Kevin Lee thought he was going, Oliveira controlled that shit on the ground. And you know how you get some people that's off their back? They seem like they're in the most trouble, right? I mean, sometimes to the casual fans, but most of the time you get a fighter that's fighting off his back, they're in the most vulnerable position. But not with Oliveira. Oliveira was embracing the fact he was on his back. The leg lock he was trying to put, the ankle locks he was trying to execute. At one point in time, it almost seemed like he had him in like a semi-calf slicer, and he was about to put him in a rear naked choke, right? But somehow, some way, you know, Kevin Lee was able to work out of it. As the fight went along, Kevin Lee, I guess, felt that he was losing the fight on his feet because Charles Oliveira was so composed with his combinations. He was landing and backing Kevin Lee up to the cage. I guess Kevin Lee felt that he should go back to the ground game. You know what I'm saying? So he felt that was some success that he had. So let me get comfortable and go back down there so I'll be able to land some strikes. So the master technician, as Oliveira was, he allowed Kevin Lee to shoot in. But Kevin Lee forgot about the fact that Oliveira has a pretty nasty guillotine choke too. And when he went in there for the double leg, slid that head in there on Oliveira's left-hand side, Oliveira just shot his hand, ran his hand through, locked in the guillotine, full guard, snug. That guillotine was snug. Seriously, that shit was tight. Kevin Lee taps out on the right-hand side, the left-hand side of freaking Oliveira. And then when the referee stops it, he tried to act like he didn't tap. Now, I'm telling you, that's violating the code right there. That's I don't want to say bitch assness because I respect him for being an athlete. But he tapped out. And then when Oliveira released the choke, he tried to act like he was advancing his position or something like that. No, Oliveira had that shit in tight. It was a good fight. I was absolutely entertained, and also it was educational to see that guy go in there and work his ground game off his back like that. I mean, the facial expression that Oliveira had was you couldn't tell what the fuck he was doing. Like, he didn't give you no indication that he was trying for this, that, and the other. The way he applied that ground game curriculum to Kevin Lee was just like he was on a level of teaching jiu-jitsu as an instructor, and Kevin Lee was a new student, a white belt. Seriously. That's what it seemed like. Because Kevin Lee, he could not even get to a point where he wanted to advance his position and stand up. Oliveira wouldn't allow him to. So shout out to Charles Oliveira, man, getting another win. And of course, a lot of people are talking about him facing Khabib Nurmagomedov, but Khabib is set to face Tony Ferguson. Hey, Ronald Finkley, salute, man. Yeah, I know. I got seven dislikes, man. I appreciate that awareness there, Finkley. Salute to you, man, and take it easy out there. Finkley say Hooker looks solid. He about to fight Regis. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that fight too against Hooker. I'm going for Hooker though. I'm going for Hooker in that fight. Maurice Hooker, Regis Prograis. I am going for Maurice Hooker. I just think he's the better fighter, man. Like, he made some mistakes in there against Ramirez. He should have worked on that now. And man, I like Maurice Hooker as a fighter, man. He fights tall. I'm going for Maurice Hooker to defeat Regis Prograis via decision. Real talk. The reason why that is, I believe that Regis Prograis takes too much punishment. First of all, he needs to work on some defense. And I don't give a damn what freaking fight you had with Josh Taylor. Why sit up here and take a picture and both of y'all eyes are swole? Man, work on some goddamn defense, bro. Seriously, work on some defense. That's all I'm saying. Work on some defense, man. You go in there with the taller hooker. That's gonna be pop shotting your ass, using it, keeping the stick active on Regis, who love to stay front and center. I just think Maurice Hooker is the better boxer right now. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. I think he could recover from the knockout, man, and he learned a valuable lesson from the strategy that he applied in that fight. But when it comes to him and Regis Prograis, at one time I was saying Ruga, man, he's gonna do big things. But now I'm not sure as how far he can go. Like, seriously, where he's at right now, him possibly getting a title shot or somebody else move up or whatever. And then potentially if he chooses to go up to 147, how will Regis fare being the shorter fighter at 147 against them dudes? I don't know, man. I don't know. He has a high hill to climb, man. Seriously, he has a high hill to climb if he's talking about moving up to 147. He just takes extremely too much punishment for me. And I was a fan of Regis at one point in time, but when I saw him fight for Lasco, I said, damn, what's good? What's going on? You can damn touched up by a fighter, even though he stopped him. Like, I'm saying, damn, why are you getting touched up by a fighter that's supposed to be a C-level fighter? Why? But hey, people, I will drop back in, but appreciate it. I'm gonna go up here and do some more research on some things, on some combat sports. Be sure to check out worldcombatsports.com too. You know what I'm saying? And social media, Facebook. Subscribe to the channel. And like Finkley said, I got seven dislikes, so that's great. That means more people are tuning in for whatever reason they choose to. They want to dislike the channel, and more so is individuals that's disliking the topic. You know what I'm saying? They don't want this Deontay Wilder freaking protest and petition to continue. But no, we're gonna keep on stomping. We're gonna keep on digging them heels. You know how it is. We're gonna keep on putting the word out until someone take action on holding Tyson Fury accountable for being a cheat, period. Forget Sweet Caroline, forget all that other stuff. We want to know, and we will find out sooner or later if they're going to do anything. If not, we'll see them in the damn trilogy. It's at the MGM Grand again, and we'll see them at the trilogy. Real talk, period. Hey, shout out everybody who dropped in through the live chat and everything. Appreciate it. And Finkley, peace. World Combat Sports Media already. Salute to you, man. Always thanks for the support. Until next time, man, be sure to turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports.